Chapter 31. New family members are born. Kiel, Hanguk, why won't the tower open? A man in his 50s with black hair and a hearty face looked angrily at the inactive portal. It had been 10 years and 3 days since his granddaughter Aileen's last seizure, but the portal remained unchanged. Lord, please calm down. A man in his 30s with the same black hair and a hearty but beautiful face spoke to the man in his 50s. How can I calm down when I can't see our Aileen? Father, please maintain your dignity. The other dragons are watching. Anton, who had prepared precious medicines to treat Aileen, spoke quietly as he looked at the dozens of dragons from the Pratani family waiting behind him. They were both members of the Pratani family, with Kaiser Pratani as its head and Anton Pratani as his son and Aileen's father. Who cares? Aren't all these dragons worried about Aileen too? Aileen also has our Pratani blood. She will overcome the seizures. Anton spoke coldly as if it were someone else's business. Anton, Aileen is your daughter. No dragon will say anything if you show concern. Kaiser felt frustrated and sorry seeing Anton's cold treatment of his own daughter, Aileen, due to the gazes of the other dragons in the family. The dragons of the Pratani family had made many sacrifices to save Aileen, a hatchling. The Black Tower's administrator space was originally where the dragons of the Pratani family took turns to rest and gain strength. The abundant magic in the Black Tower's administrator space made the dragons stronger just by being there, but the dragons of the Pratani family gave all those privileges to Aileen. Moreover, the dragons of the Pratani family were running around in all directions to find medicinal ingredients to treat Aileen. Unable to show concern for his daughter due to guilt towards the dragons sacrificing so much for Aileen, Anton remained cold. In such a situation, the Black Tower was not opening, and they even had to wait for several days, which increased Anton's feeling of guilt. And they couldn't send them back either. Whenever Aileen had a seizure, dozens of dragons had to pour in mana along with medicine to balance her physical imbalance. Did something good happen to Aileen's dragon heart? If so, it would be a real relief. Anton couldn't be happy about the portal not opening when he saw the dragons waiting behind him. For now, we'll wait here until the tower opens. Yes. Kaiser, who had issued the order, looked back at the portal. Is our granddaughter eating well? Kaiser was worried about his granddaughter, unaware that Aileen had recently become a foodie. The tomato field with the bountiful harvest activated. Suddenly, additional flowers began to bloom rapidly on the tomato branches. And then, buzz buzz, the poison honeybees approached the newly bloomed flowers and sucked the nectar. So, this is how they increased the yield by 50%. Zen had thought that the 50% increase in harvest would come as an additional items, but it was different from his expectation. Occasionally, flowers bloomed on the branches, so Sejun had to pick each cherry tomato one by one in the field. However, he had no complaints as he knew that each flower would soon produce a cherry tomato, if he just waited a bit. After harvesting the cherry tomatoes, Theo, you'll be the representative for the next week, Sejun said to Theo, who had taken his place at his bedside before he went to bed. Since he had acquired the incredible relic, St. Patrick's straw hat, this benefit was natural to Sejun. He honestly wanted to extend the period, but refrained from doing so as not to decrease the value of being a representative. Really, Meow? You're making me the representative for a whole week, Meow? Theo couldn't believe he was made the representative for a whole week without doing anything special. Theo had no idea he had a golden hand. Snore. While Theo was touched, Sejun had already fallen asleep. Swish. Theo, who had been at Sejun's bedside, got up and lay down on Sejun's stomach. And then, with a purr, feeling the stability from Sejun's moving stomach, Theo soon fell asleep as well. In the tranquil cave where everyone was deep asleep, squeak. The scream of the wife rabbit echoed in the cave. The wife rabbit's labor had begun. Squeak. Sejun wasn't too surprised since he had experienced this before. But what's going on, Meow? Squeak. Squeak. Theo and the baby rabbits were not. It's okay. Your siblings are coming. See, Jen sat up and calmed Theo and the rabbits. Squeak, squeak. The baby rabbits clung to Sejun's legs and anxiously looked at the cave where the rabbit couple was. And then, shivering, Theo was terrified, hiding between Sejun's legs and cowering in fear. He was really a coward. After about an hour, squeak, squeak, the faint cries of the newborn baby rabbits came from the rabbit couple's cave. Squeak! The husband rabbit ran out of the cave to announce the birth of the new rabbits. However, snore, gurgle, squeak, Sejun, Theo, and the rabbits had fallen asleep leaning on each other while waiting. On the 179th day of being stranded, new cave family members were born at dawn. Early morning. Roar! The baby bear stuck his head out of the hole in the cave ceiling and announced his presence, and the baby bear's cry echoed throughout the cave. At the same time, squeak, squeak, as if responding, the cries of the baby rabbits came from the rabbit couple's cave. Roar! When the cub bear was looking puzzled at the unfamiliar sound that he heard for the first time. Squeak! The husband rabbit, who had just managed to put the baby rabbits to sleep and finally fell asleep himself, shouted in anger. Sejun, awakened from sleep, hushed the baby bear by putting his index finger to his mouth. Sejun added a line to the wall and quietly prepared breakfast. The rabbits also moved quietly, looking at the rabbit couple's cave from time to time. Sejun picked 2 grilled fish, a handful of green onions leaf, and 2 carrots and placed them in front of the rabbit couple's cave. Then, the breakfast continued. Everyone had a tired face from not getting enough sleep, mechanically putting food in their mouths and chewing. Alright, let's get to work now. Yap. The 5 white rabbits went to the field with their farm tools, whispering in unison. Benji. Knowing that they were short on hands, the black rabbit also went out to help its siblings. And let's go too. Sejun picked up Theo and stood up. Huh? What does that mean, Mao? Where are we going, Mao? Theo, held in Sejun's hand, asked with a puzzled look. Remember what we did last time? When I cut the branches of the cherry tomatoes, you just picked the tomatoes and put them in the basket. It might be difficult for other rabbits, but it's too easy for our representative Theo, right, Theo? Sejun spoke as he placed Theo down next to the cherry tomato field. Of course, Mao. It's too easy for Representative Theo, Mao. Theo, who had been unexpectedly drawn into farming work, got excited by Sejun's encouragement. Even though the rabbit couple was absent, Sejun's increased stats allowed him to work faster, and with the help of the black rabbit and Theo, they managed to finish all the morning tasks. In the middle of the work, Theo decided to show off his dignity as representative and neatly cut green onion leaves with his claws, surprising Sejun. As a result, Theo ended up in charge of cutting green onion leaves as well. At lunchtime, they placed food in front of the rabbit couple's cave and all went up to the surface to eat together. The food that Sejun had placed in front of the rabbit couple's cave in the morning had disappeared, taken by them at some point. Lunchtime was very quiet and peaceful. After giving 3 spoonfuls honey to the baby bear as dessert, Sejun also had coffee and took a break. Theo and the black rabbit naturally climbed onto Sejun's lap, and the bear cub hugged Sejun and began to nap. On the 181st day of being stranded, 2 days had passed since the birth of the baby rabbits, and tomorrow will be the 7th blue moon since Sejun got stranded. Perhaps due to the blue moon that will rise from midnight today, the mother crimson giant bear didn't bring the bear cub. Thanks to that, Sejun and the rabbits were able to wake up at their usual time for the first time in a while. Alright. As Sejun got up and placed the sleeping Theo next to him, he drew a line on the cave wall. Squeak! Squee! The rabbit couple, leaving their still sleeping baby rabbits behind, came out of their cave and greeted the morning. And Benji. Rabbits, that had now become older brothers and sisters, also came out of their caves and greeted each other. Yeah, good morning. Today, Sejun and the rabbits hurried their work. They wanted to finish their tasks as quickly as possible to prepare for the blue moon. Representative Theo, wake up. I want to sleep more. Sejun placed Theo in front of the green onion leaves, and with a swish, he went to the field to cut the cherry tomato branches and started harvesting. You have simultaneously harvested 8 well-ripened magical cherry tomatoes. Your job experience has increased slightly. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has increased slightly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has increased by an additional 5%. You have gained 160 experience points. I will show you the dignity of Representative Theo. Rustle. Theo, who had woken up from his sleep, took out his claws, cut the green onion leaves, and showed off his abilities to the sickle rabbit and the cart rabbit. The day passed quickly like this. As evening came, the rabbits went into the cave, closed the entrance, and prepared for the blue moon. The poison bees also closed the entrance to the hive to prepare for the blue moon. And Representative Theo, what are you doing? I'm going in here to avoid the blue moon. Theo began to squeeze himself into the entrance of the bag. It turned out the bag had more features than expected. Representative Theo, take this with you as well. Sejun entrusted Theo with the poison queen bee's cocoon, just in case. Soon after, the blue moon began. Roar! The roar of the crimson giant bear echoed. I wonder if the mother crimson giant bear and the cub are alright? As Sejun worried about the crimson giant bear, thud, thud, thud. Something was approaching the cave. What is it? Blink. Sejun tensed up and gripped the dagger in his hand. He hurriedly put on earplugs, ate 10D grade magical cherry tomatoes at once, and increased his magic by 2. Roar! A monster roared above the cave. It was a roar he had never heard before. Sejun barely managed to hold on to his fading consciousness and came to his senses. Fortunately, the monster went on a rampage above the cave and then ran towards the roar of another monster. Phew! As Sejun sighed in relief and relaxed his tense body. Swish! A blue light began to form on the trees in the cherry tomato field that was experiencing a bountiful harvest. The blue light filled the cherry tomatoes along the stem, turning them blue. How many are there? There were more than 10 at a rough count. Even the cherry tomatoes containing the energy of the blue moon had a bountiful harvest. As Sejun was looking at the cherry tomatoes with joy, swoosh! a blue light began to form in another field as well. Huh? That's, though he wanted to quickly harvest and taste them, he had been patiently waiting for the corn to ripen in the cornfield. The blue light gathered on the corn leaves and settled on the corn. Hooray! Sejun couldn't shout because the blue moon hadn't ended yet, but he raised his hands to the sky, expressing his uncontrollable excitement. On the 182nd day of being stranded, today's breakfast is corn. Good night. Chapter 32. Harvesting Corn. Hanguk. As the blue moon ended, the monsters of the 99th floor, who had been rampaging, returned to their own areas, and the Black Minotaur King, who guarded the waypoint of the 99th floor, began to take a roll call of his subordinates. This was because occasionally, there were ones who wandered into the territories of other monsters and failed to return. Minotaur 1, Minotaur 2, Minotaur 3. While the Minotaur King was checking his subordinates, clang clang, he noticed something hanging on the horn of Minotaur 1303. The Minotaur King asked his subordinate. Minotaur 1303, what's that? However, the subordinate seemed unaware that something was hanging on his horn, and asked the Minotaur King in return. Boss, what? A warrior who doesn't even know what's attached to his body. The Minotaur King, frustrated by the reaction of his subordinate, personally removed the object stuck on the subordinate's horn. It was a plant with green leaves and orange roots. It was clear that Minotaur 1303 had been digging into the ground with his horns during the blue moon. The Minotaur King bypassed Minotaur 1303 and continued to check the rest. Minotaur 3000. Fortunately, there were no missing subordinates. Thud. Thud. The Minotaur King returned to his spot in front of the waypoint on the 99th floor, and while he was passing the time, sniff sniff, a delicious smell wafted in the air. The Minotaur King turned his gaze towards the source of the smell. The plant that he had removed from his subordinate's horn was in his hand. Why didn't I throw this away? But that wasn't important. The Minotaur King put the plant in his mouth and chewed. Chew chew. Munch munch. The orange root provided a good texture and sweetness, and the stem was soft enough to be swallowed easily. The Minotaur King quickly called Minotaur 1303. Where did you get this? As soon as the blue moon ended, Sejun called out Theo from his storage bag to scout outside. There's no one around, meow. Good. You've done well. Theo reported to Jun, and then went to sleep inside Jun's blanket. Meanwhile, Jun started to move busily. The first place Jun headed to was the cornfield. Up. He broke off a blue corn cob covered with green leaves. You have harvested stamina corn containing the energy of the blue moon. Your job experience increases. Your proficiency in harvesting LV. 4 increases. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV. 1. Your proficiency in harvesting LV. 4 increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 100 experience points. Stamina corn? The corn was a crop that increased the stamina stat. Stamina corn containing the energy of the blue moon. This is corn grown inside the tower, full of nutrition and delicious. Moreover, it contains the energy of the blue moon, enhancing its flavor. Upon consumption, your stamina permanently increases by 0.1. Cultivator. Tower Farmer Park Jun expiration date. 60 days grade. D. Perhaps because it was a D grade crop, the stat increase was twice that of an E grade crop. However, who cares? It wasn't important to Jun at all. The taste was what mattered. Hehe. Jun hummed a little tune as he first plucked the corn silk from the corn. Swish swish. He peeled off the husk of the corn. Then, blue corn kernels that seemed to pop out at a light touch revealed themselves. Wow, look at the shine. The corn was showing a blue glow and tempting him to taste it, as if saying, I'm delicious, hurry and eat me. His excitement grew. He wanted to eat it quickly. Unconsciously, Sejun was about to put the fresh corn into his mouth, but stopped himself. It could have been a major mishap if he had eaten it even before cooking. Phew. Sejun took a deep breath to calm his excited heart. Thuck thuck. He carefully laid the peeled corn husks one by one in the pot, added an appropriate amount of water, put in the corn, and covered the pot. And then, he put the pot over the fire, and started boiling it. As the water boiled, the space between the corn and the pot created by the husks would steam the corn perfectly. Now, all that was left was to wait for the corn to be cooked to perfection. However, the tower's administrator urges you to keep your promise. There was still some things left to do. All right, I was just about to do it. Theon went to the cherry tomato field and harvested cherry tomatoes containing the energy of the blue moon. Pop. You have harvested magical cherry tomato containing the energy of the blue moon. Your job experience increases. Your proficiency in harvesting LV. 4 increases. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV. 1. Your proficiency in harvesting LV. 4 increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 100 experience points. Pop. You have harvested magical cherry tomato containing the energy of the blue moon. In total, Xian harvested 13 cherry tomatoes containing the energy of the blue moon. Such a bumper harvest. Heh. Xian smiled as he looked at his hand full of blue cherry tomatoes. Here, take these. Xian gave 5 blue cherry tomatoes to the tower's administrator. The tower's administrator is grateful to you. The tower's administrator promises to repay you in the future. Sure, he didn't have high expectations. How could he wait for 300 years? This will be delicious. Xian looked at the cherry tomato in his hand. Since it was a D grade with the energy of the blue moon, it would be even more delicious. However, let's hold back. He decided to resist in order to fully enjoy the flavor of the corn. Xian got up from his spot and spread the corn silk on his designated sun-lit spot to dry well. If the corn silk is well dried, he could make corn silk tea. Now I have one more drinkable beverage. Xian returned to the fire with a satisfied expression. And while waiting for the corn to be ready, the sweet and savory smell unique to corn began to spread through the gap in the pot lid. 1, 2, 3. Xian counted 30 seconds in his mind, removed the pot from the fire, and opened the lid. Moderation is key. If he steamed it too much, the corn kernels would burst, so he had to be careful. Whoosh! As soon as he opened the lid, steam and the aroma of corn spread in the air. Wow! Xian carefully picked up the corn with tongs and put it in his bowl. And then, whoosh whoosh! In his eagerness to eat quickly, Xian blew on the corn to cool it down. Is it ready? Xian touched the corn to check if it was still hot. The corn was hot enough to hold for 1 or 2 seconds. Good. Xian held the ends of the cooled corn with a husk and snap. Cut it in half. Half of the corn was for the rabbits. Xian took a bite out of the other half corn. Crunch. Xian's teeth scooped up the corn kernels like a shovel. Slurp. As the corn kernels decreased, Xian hastily slurped up the sweet juice flowing from the corn cob. It's sweet. Crunch crunch. Having sucked up the sweet juice, Xian started to chew the corn kernels in earnest. Each kernel was bursting with life. Therefore, as he chewed, they playfully resisted in his mouth before popping out with a crackling sound. Chew chew. The more he chewed, the more the savory sweetness rose up. Xian ate the corn passionately, playing it like a harmonica. And then, you have consumed the stamina corn containing the energy of the blue moon. Your stamina permanently increases by 0.1. Before he knew it, Xian had eaten all the corn including the part that he had left for the rabbits. I can't believe I ate all of it. Xian made a disbelief expression as he looked at the message in front of him and sucked the remaining sweet juice from the corn cob. But Xian had already sucked it dry, leaving no more sweet juice to come out. That's a shame. Xian hastily threw the corn cob and leaves into the fire to destroy the evidence. And as he added another stroke to the wall, starting his morning growl, the baby bear quietly announced its arrival, so as not to wake the baby rabbits. Xian went up to the surface. The arrival of the baby bear meant that the mother crimson giant bear had come, which meant that the surroundings were 100% safe. As he reached the surface, as expected, just as he had predicted, the fields on the surface had been completely trashed by the monster that came during the blue moon. Xian quickly looked for the mother crimson giant bear. He was worried if she was hurt. From afar, Xian saw the mother crimson giant bear moving swiftly. Judging from her stride, she didn't appear to be injured. Having confirmed the safety of the mother crimson giant bear, Xian carefully returned the queen bee's cocoon that he had left with Theo back to its place. And then you're not hurt either, are you? Xian checked the baby bear's body to see if there were any injuries. Growl. When Xian examined him, the baby bear thought Xian was trying to pet him and lay down flat. That's right. Xian petted the baby bear's body, checking all over. Thankfully, there were no injuries. Here, have some honey. He gave 3 dollops of honey to the baby bear who must have had a hard time during the blue moon, and as Xian came back down to the cave. Heap. As if it was time to wake up, the rabbit couple in the cave and squeak. Their children who had left the nest came out of the cave to greet him and prepare for the morning farming. Hop. Here, eat this. Xian handed out 1 blue cherry tomato each to the rabbits eating carrots for breakfast. After distributing them all, Xian didn't have any cherry tomatoes left for himself, but since he had eaten corn, he decided to give in for today. Beep. Squeak. Slurp. The rabbits thanked Xian and started to enjoy the cherry tomatoes. Heap. In the afternoon, the rabbit couple brought out the 5 baby rabbits from the burrow to show them the world. The curious baby rabbits enthusiastically started exploring their surroundings. At that moment, peep. Something in particular attracted the baby rabbit's attention. Hop. The baby rabbits approached Theo, who was busy eating churro, and started to play on his body. Why are they doing this to me, meow? Theo, annoyed by the baby rabbits, got up from his spot and moved to another place. However, peep. The baby rabbits persistently followed Theo. President, the babies keep following me. Please do something, meow. As the baby rabbits kept following, Theo approached Xian for help. He could have run to the surface, but there was a baby bear on the surface who was eyeing Theo's churu. Baby rabbits have recognized their cool uncle. That's why they're following you, Representative Theo. So I'm the cool Uncle Mao? Yes, you are. It seemed like they were following him because he was easy going, but he didn't tell the truth. Someone had to look after the babies. Heap, heap, heap. In the meantime, the baby rabbits followed Theo again. So that's what you're up to, Mao? This time Theo didn't run away from the babies. Follow me, your cool uncle, Representative Theo Mao. Theo started to take the baby rabbits around. That's a no. No. You can't eat that, Meow. Come this way. Fire is dangerous, Meow. Surprisingly, Theo took good care of the 5 baby rabbits. Babysitting was added to Representative Theo's duties. And on the 183rd day of being stranded, I, your cool uncle, will earn a lot of money and come back soon, Meow. Heap, heap, heap. Theo, receiving the baby rabbit send-off, went down the tower again. Chapter 33. Feeling the Void. Hanguk. After Theo left for the 38th floor, Xian and the rabbits finished their morning farming and had lunch. The rabbit couple ate in the cave due to the baby rabbits, and only Xian and the adult rabbits ate on the surface with the baby bear. Growl! The baby bear ate 30 piranhas and growled, looking at Xian's grilled fish with regret. It wanted to eat more. As its growth was fast, its appetite was also increasing. Here! Xian cut his grilled fish in half and handed it to the baby bear. Growl! The baby bear bowed its head and accepted the grilled fish. It would eat it with great delight. Chomp, chomp. The baby bear put the grilled fish in its mouth, chewed a few times, and swallowed it whole, bones and all. Then growl. This time, the baby bear cried while looking at the carrot the black rabbit was eating. It wanted that too. However, squeal. The black rabbit firmly refused. It couldn't give up its carrot. Growl. The rejected baby bear turned away from the black rabbit. It was upset. After lunch slurp. He then strolled through the ruined field while drinking coffee. Although he had been too dispirited to inspect it when the field he had diligently created was destroyed yesterday, he couldn't always be like that. He had to till the ruined field again. Fortunately, not everything was destroyed. While he initially thought that the destruction of the field had completely ruined his farming, there were quite a few surviving crops. Whilst Hyun was looking around the field, he saw several dirt mounds about 7 meters high about 1 km away from the cave. What was that? It hadn't been there before. Hyun approached the dirt mounds out of curiosity. What? There were square holes about 7 meters deep next to the dirt mounds. Judging by the 2 round marks at the start of the hole, it seemed like a horned monster had poked the ground hard and dug in. How strong must it be? Hyun was appalled by the monster's strength and looked at the highest part of the dirt mound. Only the end was a different color. It was black. Thud, thud. Hyun cautiously climbed up the dirt mound, stabbing it with his dagger, and examined the black soil. The texture was different from the barren soil on the surface. It was not dry but soft and had adequate moisture content. At a glance it was soil full of nutrients. Such soil was beneath the barren land. If only he could turn the soil over and mix it. But in the current situation, without farming equipment like an excavator or tractor, digging 7 meters deep into the ground was an unimaginable task. It might be possible to do a little bit every day if he asked the mother crimson giant bear, but recently due to the blue moon, the territories of the monsters were shaken, making the mother crimson giant bear busy patrolling. Hyun decided to be satisfied with the fact that he now knew there was high-quality soil under the ground. Having looked around the field and returned to where he had lunch, squeak, growl. The black rabbit and baby bear who had been waiting for Hyun were holding each other and sleeping, apparently having made up at some point. Hey, wake up! Hyun woke them from sleep by patting their fluffy buttocks. Squeak, growl. The black rabbit and the baby bear opened their eyes slightly while remaining in a sleepy state. Guys, what do you think this is? When Hyun brought out dried sweet potatoes and honey, squeak, growl. Both barely opened their eyes and asked Hyun for food. Munch munch, lick lick. The black rabbit and baby bear woke up from sleep while eating the snacks Hyun gave them. Guys, let's work. The snacks weren't given for nothing. Growl. The baby bear, awake from sleep, dug its front paws into the ground, and, like a plow, turned the soil by stepping backward lightly. Squeak squeak. The black rabbit flattened the ground with a hammer, and then thud, thud. The shovel rabbits scooped out the soil and made a furrow. Finally, when the small field was completed, Hyun planted sweet potato stems that he had cut from the sweet potatoes he had planted in the cave. You have created a 10 square meter sweet potato field. You have gained 20 experience points. After planting all the sweet potato stems, Hyun left the baby bear and rabbits making the field, and went down to the cave. It was time to harvest the corn in earnest. Hyun began to pick corn from the field. Snap! As he broke off the corn, you have harvested well, ripened stamina corn. Your job experience slightly increases. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 slightly increases. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV. 1. Your proficiency in harvesting LV. 4. Increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 20 experience points. I wonder what effect the corn has. Jen looked at the options of the corn. Stamina corn. This is corn grown inside the tower, full of nutrition and delicious. When consumed, it breaks down 20 g of body fat and increases stamina by 0.2 for 10 minutes. The effect can be applied up to 10 times within an hour. When consumed by a non-awakened, it breaks down 20 g of fat and improves skin elasticity. Cultivator, Tower Farmer Park C, Jen expiration date, 60 days grade, D skin elasticity. It was vague, but he thought it would be good since the content written on the item guarantees 100% effect. Mom would love it. Jen thought that he should soon convey his news to his family again, and this time he would also deliver his crops. It would be disappointing that his crops were being sold outside under his name, but his actual family hadn't eaten them yet. Snap, snap. Jen harvested the corn again. Tower, floor 38. Why isn't the wandering merchant coming? Theo should have arrived by now. The hunters anxiously awaited Theo. They had received numerous requests to procure magical cherry tomatoes this time. This time, the requests were not from acquaintances, but from tycoons whose wealth easily exceeded tens of billions of won. Outside the tower, rumors about the magical cherry tomatoes spread among the wealthy, and they started to eat the magical cherry tomatoes like medicine every morning. These were people overflowing with money. Scarce and good products attracted their attention, and currently, the price of one magical cherry tomato on Earth had risen to about 500,000 won. There were still plenty of wealthy people willing to pay more, but the price hadn't risen, because there were no sellers, thus no transactions. If you just took out a magical cherry tomato, there were plenty of buyers. Therefore, the hunters were ready to spend money as soon as Theo arrived. But Theo didn't come. Could it be that we bought too cheaply in the last transaction, and he went to another floor? The hunters began to feel increasingly anxious, and they thought that they should spend enough money this time. They hadn't considered that Theo might be late because he was busy picking cherry tomatoes and cutting green onion leaves in the cave. Did I lose consciousness again? Aileen would occasionally lose consciousness, due to mana deficiency. She thought things had been fine lately as there hadn't been any such incidents or seizures. Aileen got up from her spot with a bitter expression. Swoosh. Huh? Aileen was taken aback by the unusual state of her body. Usually, when Aileen lost consciousness, it felt like her body was forcibly shutting down to survive, and when she woke up, her body felt extremely heavy. But now, her body felt so light it seemed as if she could fly. Why is my body so light? The cherry tomatoes. Only then did Aileen remember what had happened before she lost consciousness. Magical cherry tomatoes imbued with Blue Moon's energy. As soon as she received the 5 blue magical cherry tomatoes from Sejun, Aileen immediately put them in her mouth and chewed. They were so delicious with their sweet and sour taste. While she was savoring the taste, thump, bang, thump, bang. Although it was weak and slow, she felt the dragon heart start to beat in succession. Then she lost consciousness and now she had woken up. So, what about the dragon heart? Aileen hurriedly focused on her dragon heart. The dragon heart was so quiet that it was hard to believe that it had been beating. And she didn't feel any mana at all. Did I get my hopes up too much? Feeling disappointed, Aileen approached the crystal ball to observe the human. She was sure they must have been enjoying delicious food while she was out. Then thump. Ouch! Aileen's head bumped into something as she entered the room where the crystal ball was. Ugh! What is it? Aileen flinched and looked at what had hurt her. It was the door frame. Why is that there? The door frame was approximately 10 meters away from her height, so unless she was flying, her head could not possibly touch the door frame. What's going on? Feeling strange, Aileen went to the lake where she bathed to look at her reflection. The black dragon, reflected in the water, was bigger than the one Aileen knew. Huh? I've grown? Grrr. Aileen made a pleased noise, and was admiring her appearance for a while when what was I going to do? She suddenly felt like she was forgetting something important. Oh no, this wasn't the time. Aileen rushed to the crystal ball. Just as I thought. That human was trying to eat something delicious without me. Just then, Jun was taking steamed corn out of the pot in the crystal ball. It was perfect timing. Aileen, who always had good luck with food, felt lucky once again. Tonight's dinner was dishes made with corn, steamed corn and grilled corn. It's done. Sejun started taking out the steamed corn one by one from the pot on the fire. Just then, the tower administrator says they wants to taste the corn too. The tower administrator says they would be happy with just one. A quest has been generated. Quest: give corn dishes to the hungry tower administrator. Reward: very grateful if declined. Very disappointed. Just wait a bit. It's not ready yet. Tower administrator nods, saying they can wait. While the steamed corn was cooling down, Sejun went to the charcoal fire, where the grilled corn was being prepared. The rabbits were slowly turning corn on a stick, pierced through a corn stalk, over the charcoal made from the wood the bear cub had brought. The corn was getting nicely grilled in the heat. Beside the rabbits, there was a tall stack of already grilled corn, about 30 pieces. You can stop grilling now. Squeak, liak, ling. Sejun's words, the rabbits started taking one steamed corn and one grilled corn each from their spots. And then, Sejun picked up 5 pieces of steamed corn and 5 pieces of grilled corn. Aileen, enjoy your meal. You have completed the quest. As a reward for completing the quest, the tower administrator is very grateful. Alright, Sejun gave the corn to Aileen and started eating his corn along with the rabbits. The baby rabbits, eating corn beside Sejun without Theo around. Liap, ling. The baby rabbits tried to eat the corn, but it was still too big and hard for them to eat. Let's eat like this. Diaruk. Sejun took the corn that the baby rabbit was eating, scraped off the corn kernels with a spoon, put them in a bowl, and gave it to the baby rabbits. Nom nom. The baby rabbits began to eat the corn kernels from the bowl with their front paws. After a while, Blia, Bleem, Leet, the baby rabbits, showed their empty bowls, and cried out to Sejun for more corn. They had already eaten quite a lot. Just wait a moment. When Sejun picked up another corn and turned his head to get the bowl, PFF. What is this? Laughter burst out at the sight of the baby rabbits. The baby rabbits were covered with corn kernels all over. About half of the corn kernels were eaten by the baby rabbits. The rest were stuck in their fur. Leah, Leem, Leet. The baby rabbits had corn kernels all over their bodies and were protesting for more. That's why you run out. Sejun picked off the corn kernels stuck to the body of the baby rabbits one by one and put them in the baby rabbits' mouths. Lee, Lee, Lee. The baby rabbits stuck out their tiny mouths like baby birds and fought each other to eat. Hey, wait, I won't give any to a moving rabbit. Sejun sternly held a baby rabbit and picked off the corn kernels stuck to its body one by one and fed them to the baby rabbits. It was easier when Theo was here. For the first time, Sejun felt Theo's absence. He missed Representative Theo. Some work came up, so I had to delay the posting of this chapter. Anyway, enjoy! Smiling face with smiling eyes. Chapter 34. Raising Agility. Yell, Hanguk Jararor. The day started with the bear cubs' roar again. The difference this time was that the baby rabbits joined in, crying out in unison from inside the rabbit couple's burrow. Swish! Sejun began the morning of 185th day by adding a line to the cave wall. Today is the day the seed shop will open. Please let there be good seeds. Sejun made a wish near the pond with a devout heart while washing his face, and during that time, Peep, Pian, Hyep, Piat, the rabbit couple came out with baby rabbits. Hang, and the adult rabbits also came out of their burrows too, and they prepared breakfast together. The breakfast menu was simply roasted sweet potatoes and carrots. Munch, munch, while the adult rabbits quietly ate breakfast. Pian, Hyep, Piat. The baby rabbits lined up neatly in front of Uncle Sejun. Chew, chew. As Sejun chewed on a roasted sweet potato, he cut the carrot into the size of a French fry with his dagger, and gave 2 pieces to each baby rabbit. Munch, munch. The baby rabbits held a carrot stick in each hand and diligently ate, biting each carrot alternately. Sejun cut the remaining carrots and put them into 2 leather pouches he had received when he bought seeds before. Pouch was not big, so it held about 5 carrot sticks, and he made a strap with leaves from green onion and tied it to the leather pouch to complete the bag. Now you guys are in charge of supplies. Sej unhung the leather pouch bags diagonally on the bodies of the 2 relatively larger baby rabbits out of the 5. Yan! The baby rabbits carrying the leather pouch bags cried out proudly. Now I am the strongest. Why? Because I can take out and eat a carrot whenever I'm hungry. That's how Sejun and the rabbits started their work after eating breakfast. Swoosh, swoosh. Sejun quickly harvested the green onion leaves. Even though the mother rabbit had returned, Sejun's speed was faster, so the mother rabbit was given simple tasks to do while looking after the baby rabbits. Today, Sejun had to cut green onion leaves and harvest cherry tomatoes and corn in the morning. The corn was harvested once more yesterday, leaving only those that hadn't fully ripened, so there was not much to harvest. Snip! As Sejun took the harvested cherry tomato branches to the mother rabbit. Peep, bleep, leet. The baby rabbits seemed to be following their mother rabbit and picking cherry tomatoes. They were still too weak, so they were picking cherry tomatoes in groups of 2-3, and it was adorable to see them struggling to pick the cherry tomatoes. Sejun, lost in observing the baby rabbits, regained his senses and went to the cornfield to harvest the remaining corn. Pop! You have harvested well, ripened stamina corn. Your job experience has slightly increased. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has slightly increased. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, your proficiency in harvesting LV4 has increased by an additional 5%. You have gained 24 experience points. He finally harvested a D+ grade crop, which had not appeared among the D grades so far. Its shelf life was 90 days, 1.5 times that of the D grade. It seems I've accumulated a lot of job experience. From Sejun's experience, crops of the plus grade were harvested when job experience was about halfway full. Good. Sejun energetically harvested the corn. And then, you have leveled up. You have gained one bonus stat. Sejun leveled up to level 16. He raised his agility to increase his working speed with the bonus stat. I have some time left. There seemed to be less work than usual today, and there was still a lot of time left even after the corn harvest was finished. Sejun decided to sow the corn seeds before preparing lunch. Sejun brought out 20 pieces of corn from the storage. From the harvested corn, he had separately selected those with pretty and well-attached corn kernels for sowing. Thud. Thud. Concerned that the seeds inside the corn kernels might get damaged if he scraped them off with a spoon, Sejun carefully detached each kernel by hand and put them into a plastic container. You have obtained corn seeds. Your job experience has slightly increased. Your proficiency in seed harvesting LV1 has slightly increased. Although there were about 200 corn kernels per corn, Sejun's work became faster as he got the hang of it, and the harvesting seeds of 20 corns quickly finished. Then your proficiency in seed harvesting LV1 has filled up and your level has increased. The level of Sejun's seed harvesting skill increased after he had harvested exactly 3,987 corn seeds from 20 corns. I'm done. Just as Sejun, who had finished harvesting seeds, was about to stand up, Seed Shop is now open. 3 types of seeds available for sale today will be shown randomly. At your current grade, you can only purchase seeds once. The seed shop opened, and the seeds that could be purchased today appeared. 100 radish seeds, 0.1 tower coin. 100 cucumber seeds, 0.2 tower coins. 1,000 peanut seeds, 5 tower coins. They're all fine, but Sejun pondered while looking at the seeds. Radishes were tasty when eaten raw, but he decided to wait until he had more ingredients or seasoning to eat with them. Cucumbers were ruled out for similar reasons. I'll go with peanuts today. Sejun decided to buy peanuts. Roasted peanuts have a unique savory flavor and taste that is exceptional. Moreover, Sejun remembered reading somewhere in his shallow farming knowledge that beans are good for improving the fertility of the soil. Peanuts are beans too. Peanuts, beans that grow from the ground. Peanuts were a crop that could restore the fertility of the field on the ground. Sejun bought peanuts. You have purchased 1,000 peanut seeds. 5 tower coin has been deducted from Park Sejun's seed bank account. You have earned 50 shop loyalty points. A total of 106 shop loyalty points have been accumulated. 100 shop loyalty points have been deducted for the next grade increase. Deduction: your grade has increased from newbie to ordinary. In the ordinary grade, 4 types of seeds are randomly shown. In the ordinary grade, you can purchase as many seeds as you want within the limit of 5 tower coins. The level of Seed Shop LV1 has increased. When the grade of the Seed Shop increased, the level of the Seed Shop skill also increased. Thank you for using the Seed Shop. You can use Seed Shop LV2 again after 30 days. Plunk. A leather pouch containing 1,000 peanut seeds appeared in Sejun's hand. I'll plant peanuts this afternoon. Thanks to the diligent work of the baby bear and rabbits over 2 days, the field was already prepared to plant 1,000 peanut seeds. All that was left was to plant them. Sejun looked down to grab the plastic container that held the corn kernels he had harvested. Just then, swoosh, a cute little paw effortlessly reached into the plastic container and grabbed a handful of corn kernels. They were the front paws of a baby rabbit, covered in fluffy fur. Gotcha, you little rascal. Sejun caught the back of the baby rabbit with a stern voice. The corn kernel thief was caught red-handed. Squeak! The baby rabbit briefly struggled to escape Sejun's grip, but surprisingly seemed comfortable enough to continue munching on the corn kernels in its front paws. Pop, pop. With each chew, the sound of popping corn kernels could be heard. It was cute, but he couldn't let it slide. As an uncle, he could not turn a blind eye to his nephew's misbehavior. As Sejun was considering how to scold his nephew, pop, pop, papa, he heard something popping from behind as well. What's that? When Sejun turned his head to look, the baby rabbits were busily eating the corn kernels he had harvested. Daringly, the baby rabbits that had been carrying leather pouches had them filled to the brim with corn kernels. It wasn't a lone thief, it turned out to be a gang of corn kernel thieves. Who said you could take this much? Huh? Sejun raised his voice and scolded the baby rabbits. He thought he needed to correct the baby rabbits' bad habits. However, the baby rabbits started crying as if they were wronged. They thought they hadn't done anything wrong. There was a misunderstanding between Sejun and the baby rabbits. When Sejun gave them corn, he always removed the kernels, so the baby rabbits thought that the ones in the plastic container were theirs as well. Alright. Uncle is sorry. Sejun, who had become the bad guy, worked hard to soothe the baby rabbits and removed kernels from the remaining corn from yesterday to give to them. And at lunchtime, Sejun handed over the baby rabbits, who had fallen asleep after eating corn, to the rabbit couple and prepared lunch. At that moment, for some reason, the mother crimson giant bear came back early after finishing her patrol. It was as if she had timed it for lunch. Surely, she didn't come to taste the boiled corn that he had fed to her cub yesterday? There's no reason for me to give her corn. Contrary to his words, Sejun quickly filled the pot with corn and started boiling it. It wasn't because he was scared, of course. The guest is king, right? While Sejun was boiling the corn, the rabbits were also preparing for the meal, stringing piranhas and gathering carrots. And then, pull! As Sejun, who was hanging on the rope, shouted. Whir! The rope went up almost as fast as an express elevator today. Huh? In an instant, Sejun was lifted 5 meters above the ground, and then lowered back down. Instead of the baby bear, the mother crimson giant bear had pulled the rope today. Growl! Growl! As Sejun came up, the baby bear hurriedly sat in his place. I've been waiting quietly. Please give me food. All right, let's eat. As Sejun began to distribute the food, the mother crimson giant bear also subtly found a place behind the baby bear. And then she looked at Sejun with a longing gaze. Indeed, there might have been big trouble if he hadn't prepared more corns. Sejun thought he did well to prepare more boiled corn, and gave 20 pieces to the mother crimson giant bear. Roar! As if she had been waiting for the 20 pieces of boiled corn, the mother crimson giant bear swallowed them in one bite. Chew chew! Growl! The baby bear looked at its mother with a happy expression and asked, Mom, is it tasty? However, growl? The baby bear's expression slowly darkened. Mom, did you eat it all by yourself? Roar! The mother crimson giant bear looked at Sejun with a desperate gaze, and eventually, Sejun had to go back down to the cave and cook more corn. When Sejun came back to the surface with the boiled corn, squeal! Roar! The black rabbit and the baby bear were sliding down the arm of the resting mother crimson giant bear, as if it were a slide. Aren't you scared? The black rabbit, who was casually playing on the body of the mother crimson giant bear, definitely had no fear, perhaps because it was a warrior. Sejun brought boiled corn to the baby bear and finished the meal. Gulp! Thanks to the presence of the mother crimson giant bear, Sejun was able to have a quiet rest time, comfortably drinking his coffee. Roar! The mother crimson giant bear rested for a while, then got up to go on patrol again, and the rabbits also started their afternoon farming. And then plunk! Sejun, who stayed on the surface, dug the ground with his dagger and planted peanuts. You have planted a peanut seed. Due to the effect of sowing LV3, the probability of the peanut seed sprouting increases. Your job experience increases very slightly. The proficiency of sowing LV3 increases very slightly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, the proficiency of sowing LV3 increases by an additional 5%. And a little over an hour later, you have created a 250 square meter peanut field. You have gained 500 experience points. Sejun had planted 1,000 peanuts. On the 185th day of being stranded, peanuts that will increase the fertility of the soil began to grow in the surface field. Another surprise chapter. Enjoy. Grinning face with smiling eyes. Chapter 35. Becoming a legend. Theo, hanguk meow meow meow. As soon as Theo came out of the passageway from the 60th to the 50th floor, humming a tune, I must hurry, meow. The humans are waiting, meow. He hurriedly entered the passage leading from the 50th floor to the 40th floor. That him? 3 silver wolves, who had been hiding, appeared as soon as Theo disappeared. They belonged to the Silver Wolf tribe. Their tribe had earned money by working as free mercenaries in the tower for generations. Now, they were on a mission commissioned by Grid, the landlord of the 55th floor, to recover a stolen item. It was an ordinary straw hat, an item that could be found anywhere. They didn't know why landlord Grid wanted an ordinary straw hat, but it didn't matter. They were mercenaries who moved for a fee. So, the only clue they found by mobilizing their entire tribe was that one of the thieves had handed over the straw hat along with other stolen goods to the blacksmith's shop in the 75th floor shopping area. While tracing the straw hat with that one clue, one of the blacksmith's employees remembered who bought the straw hat. A wandering merchant cat with yellow fur bought it from the lottery corner. So, they traced the traveling merchant cats with yellow fur and learned that Theo was last seen appearing here, and they are lying in wait. Chief Elka, what should we do? Let's keep following him for now. They were mercenaries, but due to the agreement between the Free Mercenary Association and the Wandering Merchant Association, mercenaries could also use the Merchant's Passage if they paid a usage fee. So, the 3 silver wolves followed Theo into the Merchant's Passage. And then, why are the silver wolves here? Jiras, who was also waiting to tail Theo, quickly entered the Merchant's Passage. Unaware he was being followed, Theo headed for the 38th floor, where the humans were waiting. Day 186 of being stranded. After having lunch on the surface, Sejun took a nap with the black rabbit and the baby bear, then went down to the cave. And then snip. While he was harvesting the branch of the cherry tomato, squeak. Meep. The husband rabbit came with the sickle rabbit and pointed at the cornfield. The corn stalks were left lush with green stems after the corn harvest. Why the cornfield? Sejun didn't know whether the corn would grow back like the cherry tomatoes, or if he needed to completely cut it down and replant it, so he had left the cornstalks unattended. Meep! The sickle rabbit gestured, as if cutting down the base of the cornstalk in the cornfield. Oh, do I need to cut this? Squeak! The husband rabbit nodded his head. It seemed that he needed to cut it down and replant it. So, Sejun finished harvesting the cherry tomatoes and cut down the cornstalks. Snip! Snip! Sejun tied the cut cornstalks with a rope and moved them to the surface. Lately, he had been covering the area where he planted crops with green onion leaves and branches of cherry tomato plants. The reason was to prevent the moisture from evaporating due to the sun. By doing this, the watering period could be delayed a little, allowing him to spare some labor for other tasks. Pull! Growling and groaning, the bear cub pulled up the cornstalks, tied in bundles of 40. In this way, a total of 139 cornstalks were moved to the surface in 4 rounds. Sejun carefully spread the cornstalks in the peanut field, taking care not to cover the areas where peanuts were planted. He then spread the remaining cornstalks widely in the field he had prepared beforehand. And when the work was finished, Roar, the mother crimson giant bear, came to pick up the bear cub. Growl! The baby bear waved to Sejun from atop the head of the mother crimson giant bear. Goodbye. See you tomorrow. Sejun also waved to the bear cub, went down to the cave, finished the remaining work, and went to bed. The next morning, Roar! Unlike usual, it was not the baby bear but the mother crimson giant bear who woke Sejun up. What's going on? The tower's administrator reports that the crimson giant bear found traces of another monster around the cave. Aileen answered in response to Sejun's question. Another monster? Even the rabbits, who had sensitive hearing, had been quiet all night. The tower's administrator reports that the crimson giant bear thinks it's the horned creatures. Horned creatures? Upon hearing the word horn, Sejun immediately thought of the monster that made several pits 7m deep during the Blue Moon event. That serious Sejun first went up to the surface and looked around. Fortunately, they hadn't destroyed the field as they had before. Instead, all the cornstalks that had covered the field were gone. Wuchen Sam Minotaur 1303 was wandering around in search of tasty grass, as directed by the Minotaur King. At that moment, sniff sniff, a fragrant scent wafted from somewhere. What's this? Wuchen Sam cautiously entered the wasteland area. This was a useless area where no one claimed territory. However, because it was no one's territory, all monsters could roam freely, so caution was necessary. The strong smell of red fur suggested that someone had passed by not long ago. Wuchen Sam walked carefully to avoid making noise and arrived at the place where the fragrant smell was coming from. Upon seeing the fragrantly smelling grasses discarded on the ground, he eagerly picked them up. The boss will praise me. Wuchen Sam, with both hands full of grass, returned to his own territory. In this way, all the corn stalks, green onion leaves, and tomato branches that Sejun had spread out to prevent moisture from evaporating were stolen. Roar! The mother crimson giant bear informed Sejun about the monster intrusion and went out for patrol. The plan was to focus on patrolling the direction where the horned creatures were spotted. With the mother crimson giant bear gone, Sejun was lost in thought. Well, let's be thankful for now. Although it was a mystery why the monster took the cornstalks and other plants that were laid out on the ground, he decided to be content that no one was hurt. However, there was no guarantee that it would be the same next time, so preparations were needed. I indeed need the power to protect myself. What Sejun thought of as a measure was the poison honeybees. He had been thinking about increasing their numbers to protect the surroundings. The number of poison honeybees in the cave quickly increased and now exceeded 200. It's still a number that is difficult to compete with a single monster, but if it continues to increase, it will reach a level that can threaten monsters. With these thoughts in mind, Sejun quietly took a seat in front of where the poison honeybee queen's cocoon was, near the rock where the rope was tied. Today was the day when the poison honeybee queen metamorphosed. According to the description of the poison honeybee queen's cocoon, the first being they see after metamorphosis is recognized as their master. So, Sejun planned to take a break from farming today and wait here until the queen's metamorphosis ended. As Sejun carefully removed the leaves that covered the pit where the poison honeybee queen's cocoon was placed and looked inside, rustle, rustle. Poison honeybee queen was struggling to come out of the cocoon. Hang in there. Sejun quietly cheered for the poison honeybee queen and covered it again with leaves. Sejun, making sure no one around could interfere, quietly ate dried sweet potato snacks with coffee while waiting for the metamorphosis to end, so as not to disturb the queen's metamorphosis. Just in case the metamorphosed poison honeybee queen was hungry, he also prepared honey and a branch of cherry tomatoes with flowers. And so, Sejun took his place and waited, wondering how much time had passed. Buzz buzz. The sound of feeble flapping began to be heard from the pit where Sejun had put the poison honeybee queen's cocoon. Could it be? as Sejun slightly lifted the leaves. Flap, flap. The poison honeybee queen slowly flew up from the pit and made eye contact with Sejun. You have successfully metamorphosed the poison honeybee queen's cocoon. The newly born poison honeybee queen has successfully recognized you as the master. Your beekeeping LV2 proficiency has increased significantly. Your beekeeping LV2 proficiency has been filled, and the level has increased. Flap, flap. Poison honeybee queen rubbed her body against Sejun's hand, showing affection. Then, as if she were hungry, she approached the cherry tomato flower and began sucking nectar. Eat as much as you want. The poison honeybee queen, who would protect the surroundings of the cave, sucked honey and regained her strength. This was abandoned in the wasteland? Yes, boss. You did well. Thank you. Wuchen Sam was very happy with the compliment from the Minotaur King. Chomp chomp. The Minotaur King was amazed as he chewed and ate the grasses that Wuchen Sam had brought. Each one was sweet and tender. It was unbelievable that such grasses were abandoned in the wasteland. He wanted to send his subordinates to claim the entire wasteland if he could, but the amount of grass was too small. The amount of grass laid in front of the Minotaur King was only 1/10 of what was stolen from Sejun. The rest, burp. I'm sorry, boss. Wuchen Sam apologized to the Minotaur King after burping. During the process of fetching the grass, Wuchen Sam was so hungry that he ate grass until he was full. Thanks to this, the Minotaur King didn't send his subordinates to the wasteland. Wuchen Sam, go back to the wasteland and bring more of this grass. Yes, boss. At the Minotaur King's command, Wuchen Sam headed back to the wasteland. Of course, since he was full, he thought he should go somewhere quiet and get some sleep first. 38th floor of the tower. 5 days had passed since the hunters were waiting for Theo. Most of the hunters had given up and left, and only 2 teams that really needed the magical cherry tomatoes remained. Do you think he might have gone to another floor? No, it's possible that there was a problem with the supply of goods. As they were considering various scenarios for Theo's absence. Humans, I'm here, meow. Theo appeared. He's here. Theo, why are you so late? The hunters welcomed Theo. Sorry, meow, I had some business. But what, meow? Has my popularity waned? Theo's ears drooped at the sight of fewer humans than he had expected. He had anticipated a large crowd for the D-grade magical cherry tomatoes he was about to showcase this time. No, everyone wanted to come, but we thought you'd be uncomfortable, so we drew lots and only we came. Is that so, meow? You don't need to do that next time. At Kim Dong-sik's words, Theo's ears perked up again. I see. Unknowingly, Kim Dong-sik told a white lie for this poor cat. Why did I do that? Kim Dong-sik couldn't understand his own behavior. Seeing Theo disappointed, he just wanted to cheer him up somehow. As Kim Dong-sik, unaware that he was gradually becoming a cat servant, was trying to comprehend his actions, the magical cherry tomatoes I'm selling today are special, meow. We know. That's why we came to buy special tomatoes. No, it's even more special this time, meow. It's a D-grade magical cherry tomato, meow. What? D-grade? The hunters, who initially thought Theo was joking, changed their looks. A high grade in the tower meant superior effects. The hunters thought it was worth the wait. Can we see the options? I want to see too. Me too. The hunters rushed to Theo to see the options of the D-grade magical cherry tomatoes in a hurry. Humans, form a line, meow. Theo lined up the hunters and let them check the options of the magical cherry tomatoes one by one. It's really D-grade. It dissolves up to 20 g of fat. The magic increase rate has also gone up to 0.2. The expiration date is 60 days. Once the hunters had checked all the options, today, I will sell a total of 2,000 pieces, 400 each, through an auction, meow. Theo declared the start of the auction. 70 tower coins for 400 pieces. 90 tower coins for 400 pieces. Within 2 bids, the price of the D-grade magical cherry tomatoes surpassed 0.2 tower coins. The hunters called out high prices without thinking about money. The D-grade magical cherry tomato was an item that hadn't been released outside yet. Considering its rarity, this deal was a surefire way to make more than double the investment. The price skyrocketed frightfully, selling at roughly 0.3 tower coins per D-grade magical cherry tomato, and it sold out, meow. Theo sold all 2,000 D-grade magical cherry tomatoes, received a total of 612 tower coins, and his total sales amount exceeded 1,000 tower coins. Phew, hoo-hoo. Finally, I will become an intermediate wandering merchant, meow. Now, I don't need to be scared of Park Si-jun, meow. Finally, Theo could stand proudly in front of Si-jun. Another one. Enjoy. Grinning face with smiling eyes. Chapter 36, Having a Party. TL, Hanguk. After the auction, Theo had a photo session with the female hunters. However, the remaining number of female hunters was only 4, and of those, only 2 agreed to take a picture with Theo. After taking the pictures, he received 3 churro and 2 coffee mixes. The results this time are poor, meow. I only earned 2 hours of representative time, meow. Just as Theo was wearing a gloomy expression. Theo, let's take just one picture together. My daughter loves cats. In return, I'll give you this. Kim Dong-sik, who had been unable to interject due to the female hunters, offered some red powder. What is this, meow? It's chili powder. Good, meow. He didn't quite know what it was, but it seemed like something Park Si-jun would like. Click. Kim Dong-sik took a photo and left. After the trade, Theo hurriedly climbed the tower to take Si-jun's lap, and for his nieces and nephews who were waiting for their cool uncle. The cool uncle had already been replaced by Si-jun in the eyes of the baby rabbits, but Theo didn't know that. Just as Theo was about to use the merchant route to move from the 40th floor to the 50th floor, hold on a moment. Yeah, you need to help us. We won't harm you if you just answer what we ask. 3 giant silver wolves, each 5 in size, approached. What, meow? I'm not going to help, meow. At the request for help, Theo recalled Si-jun's instructions and tried to ignore them. But where do you think you're going? One of the wolves moved quickly and blocked Theo's path. Why? Why are you doing this, meow? I'm not going to help, meow. Park Si-jun told me not to help, meow. You should cooperate when we ask nicely. What did you do with the straw hat you bought from the blacksmith? The wolf threatened Theo with its sharp teeth. That is, thump thump thump. Just as Theo was trembling under the wolf's threat, poof, gray smoke spread out, and a foul smell filled the surroundings. Cough, eek, what's this smell? While the wolves with their keen sense of smell were suffering from the stench. Sage, be quiet. A figure in a mask grabbed Theo and fled through the merchant route to avoid the silver wolf tribe. Thump thump thump. Let's take a break now. The figure who had been running with Theo for about 30 minutes stopped. And then, Theo, are you okay? He asked, looking at Theo. Who are you, meow? How do you know my name, meow? The masked figure knew his name, Theo asked defensively. It's me, Jiras. Jiras said, removing his mask. 30 minutes ago. What should I do? Jiras, who had been tailing them, was contemplating whether or not to save Theo when he was surrounded by the Silver Wolf tribe. Theo did interfere with his mission, but his intentions were good. He was not a bad guy. Also, that straw hat really belonged to Landlord Grid. Landlord Grid, a figure who exerted a huge influence on the tower by exploiting tenant farmers like slaves with the land and food he possessed. Jiras, who dislikes Grid, it was a 2 birds with 1 stone opportunity to interfere with Grid's work and approach Theo. Thanks to the Silver Wolf tribe, he didn't have to worry about how to approach Theo. So Jiras set off a stink bomb, which wolves hate, and saved Theo. Jiras, thank you, meow. You saved me last time, didn't you? So let's call it even now. Still thank you, meow. Theo significantly lowered his guard against Jiras. The two chatted, and moved to the shopping district together. After feeding the queen poison honeybee enough honey buzz, the queen poison honeybee flapped her wings vigorously and flew up, briefly looking around, and then went back into the pit dug by Se-jun. It seemed like she wanted to rest. I should also head back down now. It was already late in the afternoon. Se-jun, who had descended into the cave, planted 400 corn seeds in the field where he had cut down the corn stalks. He had originally planned to completely uproot the corn stalk and plant the seeds, but since the roots of the corn stalk were deeper than he thought, and did not uproot easily, he just planted them in the empty ground next to it. Squeak! It was a bit strange to plant in a place where the roots remained, but there seemed to be no problem as the husband rabbit was coaching him on farming next to him. Like that, Se-jun, who had planted the corn, covered himself with a blanket and fell asleep. The next morning. Growl! Se-jun woke up to the wake-up cry of the baby bear. As soon as he woke up, Se-jun added a line on the wall, and started the morning of the 188th day of being stranded. And he came up to the ground without washing his face to check the status of the queen poison honeybee. But the queen poison honeybee was not in the pit. Where did she go? Every time Se-jun had a chance, he came up to the surface and checked the pit, but the queen poison honeybee was not seen all day. The honey that he had left for her to eat was also untouched. A day passed like that, but the queen poison honeybee did not return. The morning of the 189th day of being stranded, Se-jun, who had finished harvesting cherry tomatoes, carried the cut leek leaves and cherry tomato branches, and stepped on the knot of the rope. And then pull! Ruh! Ugh! Ruh! Ugh! The baby bear pulled up Se-jun and the green onion leaves. Se-jun was covering the field again with green onion leaves and cherry tomato branches to prevent moisture evaporation. When Se-jun came up with the green onion leaves, the sickle rabbit and the cart rabbit helped Se-jun and diligently covered the field with the green onion leaves and cherry tomato branches. And when Se-jun, who had finished his work, went down to the cave again to prepare lunch, ping! The black rabbit called Se-jun. Do you want to move the piranhas? Ping! Ping! At Se-jun's words, the black rabbit shook its head and pointed at the pond. There's a strange creature there. My hammer doesn't work on it. In the place where the black rabbit pointed, a violet crustacean monster the size of an arm, which had accidentally entered through a hole in the pond, was leisurely roaming the pond's bottom. That's... Se-jun recognized the identity of the monster at once. To see you here. It was the creature that the participants had highly praised in Law of the Jungle for its delicious taste. Black rabbit, cover me. Beep. Splash. At Sejun's words, the black rabbit entered the water and blocked the piranha's approach while Sej uncautiously approached the crustacean. And then thud. With Keynes's training dagger, he immediately stabbed the head of the crustacean monster. You have killed a crayfish. You have gained 30 experience points. A new source of protein appeared in the pond. Sejun fished the crayfish he had hunted out of the pond. And then thud. He stabbed the dagger into its chest once more and waited for the blood to drain. This is amazing. I didn't know there were crayfish living underground. Are there more? While draining the blood of the crayfish, Sej peeked into the pond to see if there were any more crayfish, but due to the blood that flowed out when Sej caught the crayfish, only the piranhas gathered. Beep, plop, plop, plop. The black rabbit happily hunted the piranhas, and it seemed like the baby bear would also be able to enjoy a feast for lunch today. Thus, after draining the blood of the crayfish, Sejun tightly wrapped it in green onion leaves and put it on the fire. Today's lunch is grilled crayfish. As time passed, a delicious aroma filled the cave. Squeak, squeal, beep, growl. Even the rabbits and the baby bear got excited by the smell of the grilled crayfish. Wait. Sejun calmed the excited animals and grilled the crayfish a little more before taking it out of the fire. And when he unwrapped the green onion leaves that had tightly wrapped around the crayfish's body, the crayfish, whose shell had turned red, greeted Sejun. Wow! Gulp! As Sejun admired the well-cooked crayfish and folded its body in half, the juicy and white flesh was revealed. Growl! Baby bear drooled with excitement at the sight of the crayfish flesh. You're going to fall again at this rate. Sejun quickly cut the flesh of the crayfish and shared it with the rabbits and the baby bear. It would have been a satisfying meal if he had eaten it alone, but because there were many mouths to feed, each only got about one piece of flesh. After sharing a piece of crayfish with everyone, Sejun took the remaining piece of crayfish flesh, bit into it, and chewed. Chomp chomp. As soon as he chewed the flesh of the crayfish, a chewy texture filled his mouth, accompanied by a slight salty and sweet flavor. Chew chew. The more he chewed the flesh, the sweeter it became. So this is the taste. Having tasted the true flavor of the crayfish, it was time to taste the combined flavors of the other parts. Shesh. He dipped a piece of crayfish meat into the entrails inside the body of the crayfish. It was said that the entrails were delicious, and indeed, a taste of cheese and butter exploded in his mouth. Ping? At Sejun's reaction, the black rabbit dipped a finger into the crayfish's unpleasant-looking innards and tasted it. And then ping! Munch munch! Bewitched by the taste of the intestines, the black rabbit began dipping its carrot into the crayfish's intestines and eating it. Crunch crunch! The baby bear finished off the grilled crayfish by chewing on the shell. Ah squeak squeal! Heap rar, while everyone was savoring the aftertaste of the grilled crayfish with a look of regret. Splash! Splash! There was a commotion in the pond. What's that? Sejun, who had regained his senses, approached the pond. It was a battlefield overflowing with blood. No, it would be more accurate to call it a massacre scene. 10 crayfish were brutally slaughtering the piranhas. It seemed like they had come for revenge following the blood that flowed out when Sejun had stabbed the crayfish earlier. This is trouble. There was not enough fire. The current fire was not enough to cook 10 crayfish. Guys, quickly make more fire, and Black Rabbit, bring a long stick and rope. It's a crayfish party today. Ping? The Black Rabbit, puzzled by Sejun's instructions, got excited when it saw the crayfish in the pond and brought a long stick and a rope. Then, it ran to the fireplace and made 4 more hearts with the white rabbits and dried green onion leaves. In the meantime, Sejun carved a notch in the wood so he could hang a rope, and connected it to the hilt of the dagger with a rope. And then, thud! You have killed a crayfish. You have gained 30 experience points. Sejun used the long reach of the stick to hunt 1 crayfish at a time and pull them out. Ping! When Sejun caught a crayfish, the black rabbit moved it to the fireplace, and the white rabbits covered the crayfish with leaves and placed it on the fire. Whoosh! The crayfish began to be grilled. Thud! You have killed a crayfish. You have gained 30 experience points. While Sejun was pulling up the hunted crayfish, he saw a crayfish coming in through the pond hole. The blood of the crayfish had called its comrades again. Looks like we'll be able to fill our stomachs with crayfish today. Thud thud. Sejun deliberately punctured the body of the crayfish several times to make the blood spread and lure other crayfish. That day, Sejun and the animals hunted 30 crayfish and ate their fill. Crunch crunch. Of course, the baby bear eating the crayfish's shell seemed a bit unsatisfied, but to fill the baby bear, even 50 crayfish seemed insufficient. Thus, Sejun and the rabbits, having had a high-protein meal with crayfish, energetically started afternoon farming. And as the afternoon farming was nearing its end, roar! The mother crimson giant bear came to pick up the baby bear. Roar! Goodbye! As Sejun waved his hand to say goodbye to the baby bear, and was about to go down to the cave, buzz buzz. Queen Honey Bee, who had been away for a few days, returned with a plump tail. 1. Law of the Jungle is a South Korean reality, documentary show that airs on SBS. Chapter 37. Catching a Thief. Kiel, Hanguk, Theo, and Jiras arrived at the 75th floor, the shopping district of the tower. Where are you going now, Theo? First, I'll apply for the promotion to an intermediate wandering merchant, Meow. You're already becoming an intermediate wandering merchant? I'm jealous. Jiras was surprised inwardly. To become an intermediate wandering merchant, a sales amount of 1,000 tower coins was needed. Considering Theo's period of activity, it was almost an impossible amount unless there was special support. What do you sell, Theo? Jiras asked cautiously because some wandering merchants kept their traded items a secret. I sell cherry tomatoes, Meow. Huh? Cherry tomatoes? It didn't seem like a lie. That's right, Meow. I'll show you when I have a chance, Meow. While they were talking, Theo arrived at the branch of the Wandering Merchant Association and requested a promotion to an intermediate wandering merchant. Mr. Theo, you are now an intermediate wandering merchant. The promotion to an intermediate wandering merchant was processed right away, as there were no special conditions other than the sales amount. Here's your intermediate wandering merchant license. An employee of the Wandering Merchant Association branch gave Theo a rectangular license made of blue metal. Thus, Theo was promoted to an intermediate wandering merchant. Phew-phew-phut. Now I am an intermediate wandering merchant, Meow. With the issue of the cultivator resolved for Sejun, Theo's steps became even lighter. Congratulations, Theo. Thank you, Meow. Jiras congratulated Theo as he came out of the Wandering Merchant Association branch. Where's your next destination? Now I need to go to the general store, Meow. Theo bought 2 iron pots, a saw, thread, and needles at the general store. 1 iron pot is 1 tower coin, a saw is 0.9 tower coins, and thread and needle are 0.5 tower coins, so the total is 2.4 tower coins. As the owner of the general store called out the price, Jiras' eyes sparkled next to him. I could haggle it down to 2 tower coins. Jiras was thinking of helping Theo and gaining more trust. Just then, give me a discount, Meow. Theo started to haggle the price. Then, I'll give it to you for 2.2 tower coins. The first haggle made him look like a pushover, but at least he didn't get ripped off, or so Jiras thought. However, give me more discount, Meow. Sir, we also have to make a living. That's difficult. When Theo used the second haggle, ho, just because you bluntly ask for a discount doesn't mean they'll give one. Jiras chuckled and shook his head. Then, okay, Meow. Jiras, let's go, Meow. Theo answered and began to turn around and leave. Sir, why are you so impatient? I give in. I'll give it to you for 2 tower coins. Jiras was greatly surprised at the store owner's words. Without the 5 logical reasons that he found quickly by looking at the products, and without any flashy rhetoric, Theo achieved the result he had in mind with just 2 words. That wasn't the end. 1.8 tower coins. Or I'll just leave. When Theo smacked down the price with his final, 3rd haggle, he's lowering the price even more. Jiras was shocked at Theo's audacity. That's impossible. However, sigh. Alright. As if to mock Jiras' thoughts, the deal went through. How could this? Jiras completely lost his confidence in his haggling skills. He had even received education from a notable family, but the gap he felt when compared to Theo was enormous. He had simply asked for a discount 3 times, but Jiras felt awe at Theo's haggling skills. With that level of haggling skills, he might have made a fortune even without doing anything illegal. Jiras completely let go of his suspicions about Theo. Theo, I'll be going now. Be careful as you may encounter wolves again. Got it. Take care, Meow. Theo said goodbye to Jiras and went to the blacksmith to get some equipment. However, there's nothing I want today, Meow. There was no equipment that caught Theo's eye. I should just go, Meow. Theo moved to the 99th floor. After parting with Theo, Jiras returned to the Secret Inspection Bureau, and he submitted a report to the bureau chief. The reason for the sudden increase in Theo's sales. Theo is a genius at haggling. Jiras had completely misunderstood Theo. Sejun saw the plump queen honeybee, which had returned, sucking honey in the pit, and went down to the cave to sleep. The next morning, Sejun, who woke up a bit early, went up to the ground to check if the queen poison honeybee was okay, but she was gone again. Instead, there was a small beehive at the top of the rock where the rope was tied. Queen poison honeybee was finally settling down and preparing to lay eggs. Just then, Hugh, growl, the mother crimson giant bear and the baby bear came together. Roll, roll. The baby bear slid down from the mother crimson giant bear's shoulder as if on a slide. Lick, lick. The mother crimson giant bear licked the baby bear a few times as if washing it. Growl, growl. The baby bear, full of energy, was wobbling here and there on the mother bear's tongue touch, creating a fascinating scene. As Sejun was watching them creon, the mother crimson giant bear, who had washed the baby bear, looked at Sejun and said something, and then went out for a patrol. Even though there was no translation from Aileen, he seemed to understand what she was saying. I guess I'll have to catch a lot of crayfish today. Somehow, it seemed like the mother crimson giant bear would show up again at lunchtime today. This is where the honey you eat is made. So, you must not eat this. Sejun warned the baby bear in advance, in case it might touch the beehive of the newly settled queen poison honeybee. Keikoum, Keikoum. The baby bear nodded strongly. I understand. I will protect it. Sejun went down to the cave, had breakfast with the rabbits, and started his daily work. With his agility increased by 1, he was getting used to farming, and the only thing left to harvest after the other crops were cherry tomatoes. Sejun finished all his work effortlessly in 2 hours, and went to the pond. Black Rabbit, are you ready? Bam! Splash! In response to Sejun's question, the black rabbit dove into the pond, and first dealt with the piranhas that blocked the view. Plop, plop, plop. Every time the black rabbit's hammer swung, the piranhas bounced out of the pond. Sejun quickly skewered the piranhas with a rope, making 2 bundles of piranhas for the baby bear. When the black rabbit came out of the pond, Sejun started hunting crayfish in earnest. There were about 40 crayfish in the pond. For some reason, once they entered the pond, they didn't attempt to go back out. Sejun went into the water and caught each crayfish by hand. Yesterday, he had thoughtlessly stabbed them all to death, but if caught like this, he could catch them without attracting other piranhas or crayfish. I can't leave the pond water contaminated. Yesterday, due to the crayfish's massacre of the piranhas, the pond water was contaminated, and Sejun could neither drink nor wash until morning. He needed a way to purify the water. So, Sejun thought of ways to purify the water while picking up crayfish from the pond. And while Sejun was picking up crayfish like that, bang! The black rabbit slit the belly of a crayfish with Sejun's dagger and drained its blood. Just then, thud! As soon as he stabbed the crayfish's belly, black light emitted from the body and hammer of the black rabbit. Usually, a bright light would shine when leveling up, but this time it was slightly different. There was no change in the black rabbit's body, but its hammer got a bit larger, and the end of the handle turned sharply like an awl. It seemed different from a regular level up. Yang! The black rabbit proudly came into the pond with its hammer. Why all of a sudden? Yang! The black rabbit looked at Sejun and gave a thumbs up. I'll handle this now. Plop! When the black rabbit hit the crayfish's head strongly, its movement stopped. The crayfish was knocked out by the hit from the black rabbit's hammering, which had become stronger after leveling up. Plop! Plop! The black rabbit dragged the unconscious crayfish out of the pond. And then thud! The black rabbit stabbed the crayfish's chest with the pointed end of its hammer handle. Yang! The black rabbit arrogantly looked at Sejun after draining the crayfish's blood. See that? Alright, I'll leave the crayfish to you. With the black rabbit's growth reducing his workload, Sejun focused on grilling the crayfish. And then roar! As lunchtime approached, as expected, the mother crimson giant bear returned to Sejun's cave. Chomp chomp! Sure enough, the mother crimson giant bear put 20 grilled crayfish in her mouth at once. This time, because he had set aside food for her separately, there was no need to go back down to the cave to cook again. After enjoying a delicious lunch, "Can you ask her to dig some ground for me?" Sejun asked Aileen to translate his request to the mother crimson giant bear. Having treated her to a delicious lunch, Sejun felt justified in asking a favor, so he didn't hesitate. Originally, he intended to ask when he served the steamed corn last time, but Aileen was sleeping then. The tower's administrator translates for the crimson giant bear, who is asking where she should dig. Good. Here. Sejun pointed to the ground about 500 meters away from the cave. He chose a location far away in case the cave might be damaged. Thud. Thud. The mother crimson giant bear walked briskly and quickly arrived at the place Sejun pointed. And then roar. Roar. With just a few movements of her front paws, the ground flipped over and the black soil underneath surfaced. It was a task that would have taken a few hours with an excavator, but she finished it in one go. Thanks to the mother crimson giant bear, Sejun was able to overturn about 1,000 square meters of land all at once. Roar! The mother crimson giant bear left to patrol again, and Sejun spent the afternoon planting 3,000 corn and 1,000 cherry tomatoes in the 1,000 square meters of land with the rabbits. And then, swoosh! When the watering rabbits had almost finished watering the planted seeds, drip! The water coming out of the watering can stopped. Huh? What's going on? Why isn't the water coming out? Sejun, who thought that water would come out infinitely from the watering can, asked. Beep! The father rabbit shook its head. We've used up all the water today. Until now, there had been no need to use all of it, so he hadn't noticed. But the amount of water that could be used per day with the white rabbit's watering can item was limited. He would have to be more careful with the use of water from now on. Sejun covered the watered field with as much remaining green onion leaves as possible and went to sleep. However, that night the thief struck again. Meow meow meow. As Sejun's cave got closer, Theo, feeling good, hummed a tune and walked quickly. And chomp chomp! He heard the sound of something being chewed. What's that, meow? When he looked at where the sound was coming from, he saw a minotaur eating grass. Huh? Isn't that the green onion leaves that Sejun Park grows, meow? Theo recognized the green onion leaves right away. He knew it well because he had cut it himself. Where did you get that, meow? Theo approached the Minotaur and asked, "Huh?" The Minotaur, recognizing the other party as a wandering merchant, responded, "I picked it up from the ground." "No way, meow. Those are the green onion leaves that Sejun cherishes, meow. Sejun uses those leaves as a dish, makes ropes with them, and even uses them to wipe his butt, meow. You've stolen Sejun's green onion leaves, meow." Theo caught the green onion leaves thief Wuchen Sam. Chapter 38, Hiring. TL, Hanguk Magical Cherry Tomato. Is this the newly released D-grade magical cherry tomato? It's really amazing that just eating this can break down 20 g of fat. Michael McLaren, the vice chairman of Gagel, a huge food corporation that controls 39% of the world food market, said while looking at the red cherry tomato. Being awakened, he could see the options of the magical cherry tomato. What was the result of planting the E-grade magical cherry tomato on Earth? Michael had been researching the magical cherry tomato for several months now, and had recently had the first harvest. We planted it in the best conditions for cherry tomatoes to grow, but perhaps because the environment is different from the tower, it grew into a normal cherry tomato that we know, not an item. Michael McLaren fell into thought. 10 years ago, the tower appeared, while Michael was learning about company work under his father. And a few months after the tower appeared, Michael was lucky enough to get into the tower through vanishing. The tower was much larger than it looked from the outside. Even by securing a place on just one floor, you could grow and harvest enough crops to cover 5% of the crops currently produced by Gagel. Plus, with the sun shining 24 hours inside the tower, the harvest cycle was short. If they could grow crops in the tower, it wouldn't be a dream to control the entire global food market. Michael convinced his father, the chairman of Gagel, as soon as he came out of the tower. He then led the tower farm project, which involved setting up a large-scale farm inside the tower. Everything was going smoothly, but a problem arose unexpectedly. Seeds that the tower farm project team took into the tower didn't sprout for some reason. They tried various methods such as changing the germination conditions and environment, and bringing seedlings, but all failed. And they found out the cause of their failure through a research report from another research team. Right arrow research on the reason why awakened become infertile. The content of the research report was shocking. Awakened lose their reproductive ability as soon as they enter the tower. Now it is known that this is a temporary side effect due to magic adaptation, and most of the reproductive ability is restored when the awakened level exceeds 10. But in the early days, when the tower appeared, it gave a huge shock to society. Loss of fertility applied equally to plants, and Michael, who had no way to raise the level of the seeds, gave up on the method of bringing seeds from outside. Instead, he chose a method to get the seeds directly. The tower was selling food made from various crops. So when he tried to buy seeds from the merchants in the tower, seeds? A greedy guy named Grid on the 55th floor has monopolized them, so they can't be sold. So Michael's tower farm project was discarded after hearing that it was an ahead of its time project that could only be started if they reached the 55th floor. However, with the emergence of the magical cherry tomato in the world, Michael's ambition for the tower farm project reignited. What was the result of planting the magical cherry tomato in the tower? We sowed 100 E-grade magical cherry tomatoes on the first floor of the tower as a trial, and 10 of them successfully sprouted and are about to be harvested soon. Really? Yes, Chairman. Although the current sprouting rate is 10%, Michael thought that using the know-how of Gagel, it was not a big deal to increase the sprouting rate. Get the budget for the tower farm project approved immediately. Employ Awakeners to clear out the monsters around the area where we'll build the farm. Like that, the once halted tower farm project of the huge food corporation Gagel, thanks to Sejun's cherry tomatoes, restarted. Huh? Wuchen Sam was enraged by Theo's words. You're accusing a warrior like me of thievery. That's right, meow. If not, let's go ask Park Sejun, meow. Theo was taken aback by Wuchen Sam's anger, but he quickly regained his confidence. He had Park Sejun on his side. Park Sejun would solve everything, meow. Huh. Wuchen Sam stood up, blowing out hot breath through his nose. Lead the way. Follow me, meow. Theo led Wuchen Sam to the cave. In the cave where everyone was asleep. Thunk, thunk. Theo. Sejun woke up due to Theo pressing on his cheek with his paw. President, I'm back, meow. You've worked hard. Let's sleep now. Sejun reached out to hold Theo in sleep, but... Swoosh. Theo blocked Sejun's hand with his paw. No, meow. You have to come out with me right now, meow. Outside? That's right, meow. I've caught a thief, meow. Recognize it as an honor, meow. Cats that catch thieves this well aren't common, meow. Theo spoke with pride. Did he catch a rat? Sejun didn't take Theo's words seriously. Can I check it out in the morning? No, meow. The thief might run away, meow. Let's go outside quickly, meow. Okay. Sejun, urged by Theo, got up from his seat and went up to the ground. Huff, huff. There, Sejun, who had come up to the surface, locked eyes with a black monster with horns, 12 in size, breathing heavily. Black Minotaur was okay because he had gotten used to the gigantic size of the Mother Crimson Giant Bear. If not, he might have fallen down from the pressure coming from the enormous size of the Black Minotaur. Theo, is this gentleman the thief you caught? That's right, meow. He's the thief, meow. Wuchen, Sam stole your grass, meow. Theo protested to Sejun, whining as he did so. Huh. At Theo's words, Wuchen, Sam protested strongly, feeling wronged. It's not true. I found it. No, meow. Wuchen, Sam is a thief, meow. The two started arguing back and forth over whether Wuchen, Sam was a thief. No matter how much Wuchen, Sam huffed and puffed, Theo was not afraid. Theo, who was with Sejun, was full of confidence. What's this? While watching the two, Sejun quickly grasped the situation. Considering the horn on his head, he was the one who messed up his field during the blue moon. However, listening to Theo's words, it seemed like the one who stole the green onion leaves and corn stalks that covered his field last time was also this guy. And today, he was caught by Theo while trying to steal green onion leaves again. Black Minotaur Wuchen Sam was claiming his innocence under Theo's interrogation, insisting he had just picked up what was dropped on the ground. Catching a thief when you're not even a dog. There had never been a cat like this, let alone a dog. Moreover, the thief he caught was not just any thief, but a thief who had good strength and could be useful for farming. Sejun looked at Theo with admiration. President, your expression is strange right now, meow. Huh? Before that, quickly tell me whether you threw away the grass or not, meow. Horse, I didn't throw it away. Sej unfirmly shook his head. Even if he had, he wouldn't admit it. Tell Wuchen, Sam, that I'm demanding 100 tower coins as compensation for wrecking my field and stealing the grass I had carefully laid down. Sejun called an enormous amount. It was too much for wrecking the field and stealing grass. Got it, meow. When Theo delivered Sejun's words, Wuchen, Sam showed a look of despair. I don't have money. President, Wuchen, Sam says he doesn't have any money. What should we do, meow? What do you mean, what should we do? If he doesn't have money, he should pay with his labor. I'll give him 1 tower coin a day for working here. Sejun proposed a job to Wuchen, Sam. The reason he asked for such an excessive price was to lay the groundwork for this. Of course, there was some resentment for ruining his field and causing him to work multiple times. That's possible, meow. Theo admired Sejun's words. So, if there's no money, you can repay with labor, meow. Theo realized a new means of transaction. Wuchen, Sam nodded in agreement with Sejun's proposal. As a Black Minotaur warrior, he couldn't resort to stealing others' things. Tell him to rest and come to work in the morning. Got it, meow. It didn't seem like Wuchen, Sam would run away. After all, he was a monster who would return for the green onion leaves anyway. Thus, providing him with green onion leaves as wages while making him work could create a win-win situation for both. Of course, it would be more beneficial for Sej, and Theo conveyed Sejun's words to Wuchen, Sam and Wuchen, Sam went back with a gloomy face. Thus, Sej, unemployed a powerful black ox, a Black Minotaur to plow his field. Theo, well done. Did I do well, meow? Theo looked at Sejun as he spoke. His expression was saying, don't you know you should give me something if I did well? Your representative time has been extended by 1 month. Give me more, meow. Theo tried to negotiate with Sejun, however with a rustle. When Sejun tore open a bag of churu and placed it in front of Theo. With a gulp, all thoughts of negotiation quickly flew out of the window. With a plop, Sejun, carrying Theo indulging in the churu in one arm, went down to the cave and fell asleep again. On the 192nd day of being stranded, Sejun had a good night's sleep, holding Theo. You, why are you here? Yumu, I came to pay back my debt. Brothers, I'm here. With the arrival of the morning, chaos ensued on the surface due to the Mother Crimson Giant Bear and Black Minotaur Wuchen, Sam. I forgot. What, meow? Sejun quickly tied the sleeping Theo translator to his back and went up to the surface. It would be a big problem if either of them got hurt. As he surfaced, the Mother Crimson Giant Bear and Wuchen, Sam were growling at each other, circling around the cave. A tense situation. Wait, Sejun first yelled to stop them both. She says to go inside because it's dangerous, meow. Yumu, he says he came to repay his debt, meow. President, that one is asking for churu again, meow. Hurry up and scold him, meow. While translating, Theo pointed at the baby bear and became enraged. Calm down, everyone. And Sejun brought out the magic words to solve the chaos at once. Let's eat first and then talk. At Sejun's words, baby bear hurriedly sat down in his place and Yumu, the Mother Crimson Giant Bear and Wuchen, Sam also awkwardly sat down in their places. The Mother Crimson Giant Bear, who had eaten piranha and crayfish, got up to patrol. After hearing the full story from Sejun, she relaxed her guard against Wuchen Sam. Munch munch, Yumio? While chewing on green onion leaves and cherry tomato branches, Wuchen Sam approached Theo and asked, what should I do? Wuchen Sam is asking what he should do, meow. You have to turn over the soil. Sejun took Wuchen Sam to the pit. Wuchen Sam had made during the blue moon. Make a pit like this. Yumio. At Sejun's words, Wuchen, Sam plunged his 1-meter long horn into the ground and elongated them. The horn pierced the ground and grew up to 7 m long. And then, Yumuo, Gugu. When Wuchen, Sam lifted his head with a shout. The ground rose with it. Good. You just need to do this until lunch. Yumio? Wuchen, Sam looked moved. You're giving me lunch too? Of course. I'm not a black-hearted employer. Although the working conditions were poor enough to be immediately reported to the labor department if they were outside, if he provided meals while making them work in the tower, he is a wonderful employer. In this way, Sejun put Wuchen, Sam to work and came down to the cave with Theo. Then Pyong, Pyop, Pyok, the baby rabbits ran towards Theo. My little nephews, your cool uncle is here, meow. Theo welcoming the baby rabbits with open arms. But the baby rabbits ran past Theo to Sejun. In their short lives, Theo was already a stranger. How can you change so easily, meow? Theo cried out in desperation towards the fickle baby rabbits, but they didn't even pretend to listen. Sejun played a bit with the baby rabbits and sent them to the rabbit couple. He had to settle the account with Theo for this trade. We sold out again this time and earned 612 tower coins, meow. And then thump thump. Theo grabbed the bag and shook it upside down, causing the churro, coffee, and the goods obtained from the general store and by taking pictures to spill out. There weren't many hunters waiting for me this time. I could only take pictures with 2 people, meow. Theo's ears drooped. That's okay. What about the lottery? I didn't see anything I wanted this time, so I just came back, meow. You've worked hard. Here's your incentive. Sej unhanded over 35 tower coins as an incentive to Theo. Thank you, meow. And this is the incentive for catching the thief. Since he was able to make Wuchen, Sam work for 100 tower coins thanks to Theo, he paid an additional 20 tower coins, 20% of 100 tower coins. Then, that's a total of 55 tower coins, meow. Theo looked at the money piled on his paws with a touched expression. He had made more money in one go than the 50 tower coins he had brought when he left his hometown. With Park Sejun, I'm bound to succeed, meow. Park Sejun's lap must be mine, meow. Theo lay sprawled, determined to take over Sejun's lap. Hey, move over now. I need to work. I don't want to, meow. On the 193rd day of being stranded, Sejun had a hard time getting Theo, who was clinging to his lap whenever he got the chance, off him. Chapter 39. Turning the tables. Hanguk Wuchen, Sam, where are you going? His colleague Wuchen, Sa asked as Wuchen, Sam had been leaving for the wasteland area early every morning for the past 3 days. I'm going to eat delicious food, Wuchen, Sam replied cheerfully, as he was very happy that he could eat grass for lunch every day. He had completely forgotten about repaying his debts and the orders of the Minotaur King. Delicious food? Yes. If I overturn the ground with my horns and then cover it again, they give me food. I want to eat too. Can I come with you? Wuchen, Sa got up excitedly. Sure, let's go together. Wuchen, Sam took the new worker, Wuchen, Sa, and went to work at Sejun's cave. Grrr. Sejun woke up to the sound of the baby bear's cry. And then, swoosh, he drew a line on the cave wall and started the morning of the 195th day of being stranded. As Sejun climbed up the rope to reach the ground and give instructions to Wuchen, Sam, the black minotaur, for the morning. Huh? Yumu! 2 black minotaurs were waiting for Sejun. There was one more. The reason Sejun could distinguish between the 2 was because of the different markings on their shoulders. While Sejun was thinking about what was happening, Nod, the black minotaur, who came with Wuchen, Sam, bowed its head to Sejun in greeting. Yumu! Wuchen, Sam asks if his colleague, Wuchen, Sa, can also work and he hear meow. Theo, who had been hanging on Sejun's leg, translated Wuchen, Sam's words. Okay. I can provide food, but I can't pay wages. Ask if he's okay with that. Got it, meow. Theo passed Sejun's words to Wuchen, Sa. For Sejun, it wasn't urgent to create a farm right now, so there was no reason to hire an additional black minotaur with payment. Yumu! Having come to eat, Wuchen, Sa readily nodded and accepted. Thus, the 2 black minotaurs started to work hard, overturning the ground. Yumu, oh! Listening to the sound of the 2 black minotaurs turning the soil, Sejun went down to the cave, and he decided to split and plant the roots of the green onions that had been neglected for some time. To prevent moisture from evaporating, he needed to cover the surface field, and if he needed to feed 2 workers of huge size, it was necessary to increase the production of green onion leaves. So far, the number of green onions has always been abundant, so there was no need to increase it. However, the more you cut the green onions, the more the roots would multiply. Green onions had the potential to increase their numbers as much as he wanted if he set his mind to it. Sejun began separating the roots of the green onions he had originally planted when he was stranded. The roots of the green onions had thickened to the size of a tumbler, and there were nearly 30 roots. With those green onion roots, Sejun came up to the surface and went to the ground that Wuchen, Sam had overturned and tilled the day before to create a field and plant the spring onion roots. The reason why he planted green onions on the surface was to avoid the hassle of bringing green onion leaves up from the cave. Once the green onion roots were planted, the size of the green onion field on the surface increased by about 20 times compared to the green onion field in the cave. You have created a 200 square meter green onion field. You have gained 200 experience points. If he continues to divide and plant whenever the roots grow, he could quickly create a green onion field that is several times larger than the current size. Just one problem needs to be solved. Sedge looked at the rabbits watering the green onion field. The number of watering cans was fixed, so he couldn't water all the crops. So currently, Sedge is solving the problem by bringing pond water directly from the cave, but that also had its limits. As Sedge was contemplating how to solve the water problem, flash! The body of the husband rabbit shone brightly, and just like the hammer of the black rabbit changed, the husband rabbit's watering can transformed, and the part that holds the water got bigger. That's the second awakening. The term second awakening was a name Sedge unattached to differentiate when rabbits level up and when their equipment grows. Rabbits that have undergone the second awakening have significantly better abilities than before. Squeak! The husband rabbit, who finished the second awakening, looked at his transformed watering can with pride. How is it? Has the water capacity increased a lot? Sedge asked with a voice full of anticipation. Squeak! The husband rabbit nodded his head vigorously and put up 2 fingers. Doubled. Oh! Thanks to the husband rabbit's second awakening, there would be no water shortage for a while. With the water problem solved, Sedge's farm began to grow once again. 197th day of being stranded. Let's eat. Today the baby rabbits came up to the surface for the first time to have a meal together. And as soon as the meal was over, yarr! The baby bear greeted the baby rabbits who were younger than him first, as if he was glad to meet them. Hiyan, Hiab, Hayat. The baby rabbits, unafraid of baby bear's massive size, approached baby bear and began to play together. Cake Yuan. As an older brother, baby bear seemed eager to teach what he knew, so he took the baby rabbits to the field and taught them how to plant. He explained that if you plant here, more will come out later. Teaching planting to white rabbits that have a farmer's blood. While drinking coffee, Sedge watched baby bear and the baby rabbits with interest. Of course, while Sedge was resting and drinking coffee, Theo and the black rabbit each took a spot on his lap and were taking a nap. Hiyan, one of the baby rabbits, having listened to baby bear's explanation, pulled out a dried sweet potato from the leather pouch bag and planted it in the ground. Cake you eat. The baby bear laughed at the baby rabbit. He seemed to have forgotten his own past when he had planted sweet potatoes and piranhas, while they were enjoying such a peaceful rest time. Buzz, buzz. They heard the sound of baby poisonous honeybees' wings. Huh? Sedge wore a puzzled expression. This is because the poisonous honeybees do not let the baby poisonous honeybees out of the cave where they can be in danger. What is it? As Sedge looked towards where the sound was coming from, buzz. 7 baby poisonous honeybees were flying around the beehive built on the rock. First baby poisonous honeybees had finally been born from the second hive. Sedge put down the sleeping black rabbit and Theo on the floor and approached the baby poisonous honeybees. Buzz. Thanks to being recognized as the owner of the queen poisonous honeybee, even without the queen's education, the baby poisonous honeybees came close without being wary of Sedge and showed affection. Guys, let's go eat something delicious. Sedge led the baby poisonous honeybees down into the cave. He took them to where the flowers were and let the baby poisonous honeybees suck nectar. Buzz. The existing poisonous honeybees showed a wary attitude at the appearance of other factions' poisonous honeybees, but as soon as they saw Sedge with them, they relaxed their guard and sucked the nectar again. That's how the baby poisonous honeybees born from the second beehive settled in. In the future, the production of honey will also increase, and finally, a means to expand the activity area Sedge had in mind is being formed. Sedge started to smoothly manage the beehive. In the afternoon, he cut the green onion leaves to cover the field, went down to the cave, and started harvesting cherry tomatoes. While Sedge was harvesting cherry tomatoes, you have simultaneously harvested 8 well-ripened magical cherry tomatoes. Your job experience increases slightly. Your proficiency in harvesting LV4 increases slightly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV1, the proficiency of harvesting LV4 increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 176 experience points. You have leveled up. You have acquired 1 bonus stat. Sedge's level increased to 17. Since he had not yet felt a lack of strength or stamina, he invested his bonus stat in agility to increase his working speed. As evening fell, the mother crimson giant bear came to pick up her baby bear and moo. The 2 black minotaurs ended their work for the day. Representative Theo, isn't it about time to go down for trade? Sedge, who was stroking Theo's head on his lap after dinner, asked. Under normal circumstances, He would have let Theo play for a few more days, but it was time to send regards to his family. I want to go down, but I can't, meow. What do you mean? On the way here, Theo talked about being attacked by wolves. The wolves tried to eat me, asking about the straw hat, meow. The straw hat? Are there other people farming on different floors? Sejun touched the straw hat he was wearing and asked. It was a relic and had good effects, but it was an item with unnecessary options if you were not a farmer. That's right, meow. So I can't go down, meow. Don't worry. How dare they target our representative Theo? I'll take care of it. How dare they target Theo's life? Sejun was furious and thought of a strong solution. How will you do it, meow? We have Wuchen, Sam, don't we? Representative Theo, can you hire a free mercenary? I can, meow. Then hire Wuchen, Sam as a free mercenary and have him go down and come back. Those who are hired as mercenaries for a wandering merchant can use the merchant route while being hired as a free mercenaries. It would be great if Sejun could go down the tower as a free mercenary. But due to one condition, Sejun could not become a free mercenary. The condition was to be born in the tower. It was a condition that could not be met unless reborn. Although he found out later, this was the same for the wandering merchants as well. A few professions like wandering merchants and free mercenaries were only allowed for those born in the tower. Oh, that's right, meow. If the wolves dare to attack this time, Wuchen, Sam and I will teach them a lesson, meow. Theo gained courage from Sejun's words. So, Theo decided to go down the tower with Wuchen, Sam the next day and fell asleep on Sejun's stomach. The next morning, Sejun offered to reduce Wuchen, Sam's debt by 3 tower coins, 3 times his daily wage, if he would serve as a free mercenary and escort Theo. However, Wuchen, Sam shook his head in refusal. Why? I'm offering 3 times the daily wage? He says he doesn't want to leave because he wouldn't be able to eat, meow. What? For Wuchen, Sam, food was more important than debt reduction. All right, I guarantee 3 meals a day. When Sejun agreed to provide all 3 meals, Wuchen, Sa, who had been listening from the side, raised his hand. I'll go too. He had to take this job opportunity where he could eat 3 meals a day. I'm okay. So, you're okay with 3 tower coins and 3 meals a day, right? Sejun thought that if he had 2 black minotaurs, one could fight while the other protected Theo, ensuring Theo's safety. Wuchen, Sa shook his head. He didn't need the money. He wanted food. All right. Sejun hurriedly began to cut the green onion leaves to prepare 10 days' worth of food for the 2 black minotaurs. No, I should prepare for 15 days. Sejun added 50% more green onion leaves to Theo's bag. If the trip was extended due to unforeseen circumstances, they might run out of green onion leaves. Then the hungry Wuchen, Sam and Wuchen, Sa might even eat Theo. Then that would be a disaster. Should I get a contract promising they won't eat Theo? While Sejun was pondering this, 15 days' worth of green onion leaves for the 2 black minotaurs was packed into Theo's bag. It was a huge amount, but it only took up 1/3 of Theo's bag space. Oh, it fits a lot? That's right, meow. It's because I am now Representative Theo, an intermediate wandering merchant, meow. Theo proudly stated. If Theo hadn't been promoted to an intermediate wandering merchant, and his bag space hadn't increased significantly, he might have had to carry only green onion leaves for this trip. Be careful and come back safe. Then I'll be on my way, meow. On the 198th day of being stranded, Theo left the tower with 2 black minotaurs, with Sejun seeing him off. Chapter 40. Harvesting Green Onions. Hanguk in the outskirts of the tower's first floor. 10 awakened ones were waiting for someone. After a while, a man with blonde hair and golden armor appeared from beyond the black wall. Today was the day to harvest the E-class magical cherry tomatoes planted by Gagel's Tower Farm Project team. Michael McLaren, the vice chairman of Gagel, personally visited the farm. Vice chairman, this way. The research team leader guided Michael to the headquarters of the tower farming project. On the first floor of the tower, individuals or groups could rent buildings if they paid for them. How's the acquisition of the land for the large farm going? Currently, our slaves are driving out the goblin villages on the 2nd floor of the tower and securing the land. The ones they referred to as slaves were the awakened ones who were forced into slavery contracts using the tower's contracts, after Gagel took over the debt of the people who wrote promissory notes, and then awakened them with tickets. They were working tirelessly, unable to leave the tower, in order to pay off debts they could never pay off in a lifetime. While talking about securing the site for the large farm, they arrived at the headquarters courtyard, where they saw a field full of cherry tomatoes. Finally, plop! Excited Michael approached the field, harvested a well-ripened cherry tomato, and inspected it. Even after a close look, no description appeared. So it's not an item. Michael, who had been somewhat hopeful, was disappointed. However, he decided to take pride in securing the seed to start the tower farming project. I wonder how it tastes. Michael put the cherry tomato in his mouth. Pop! Squish! The cherry tomato burst, and its juice gushed out. Munch munch! Michael's expression hardened as he chewed the cherry tomato carefully, and then spit. Michael spat out the cherry tomato, and then plop, plop, plop. Michael's hand hastily harvested other cherry tomatoes and tasted each one. However, what the hell is this? Michael yelled, throwing the cherry tomato in his hand. Vice Chairman, what's the matter? What's the matter? This thing doesn't taste like anything. What? At Michael's words, the research team members who grew the cherry tomatoes hurriedly began to taste them. This can't be. How can it taste like this? The research team leader looked incredulous. They had injected all the necessary nutrients, but the cherry tomatoes tasted like nothing. Michael left the tower with the research team leader and instructed him to analyze the cherry tomatoes. Even so, using the company's technology, they might be able to improve the taste of the cherry tomatoes by breeding new varieties. A few hours later, the research team leader came back with an analysis report on the cherry tomatoes harvested from the tower. How did it go? All the components are below the standard. They are of the lowest grade and have no commercial value. Moreover, for some reason, there are no seeds inside. No seeds? Yes. If there are no seeds, not only is it impossible to improve the variety, but it's also impossible to cultivate cherry tomatoes altogether. When the trading happens again, on the 38th floor, secure all the D-grade magical cherry tomatoes by any means necessary and cultivate them again. Got it? Yes. Michael decided to pin his hopes on D-grade magical cherry tomatoes, if the E-grade ones were not suitable. The higher the grade, the better it should be. Thanks to Michael's orders, Theo's sales were expected to hit record highs once again. After Theo left, Sejun prepared lunch throughout the morning. Today's menu is spicy piranha soup with piranha, green onions and carrots in a pot, seasoned with red pepper powder and salt. Sejun found red pepper powder while organizing the items Theo had bought. Theo should have told me earlier that we had such a precious item. Haha. Sejun thought that when Theo returned, he would let Theo sit on his lap for 5 hours and let him eat churro to his heart's content. Sejun tasted the soup with a spoon. Gulp. Ugh. The spiciness from the red pepper powder made Sejun's mouth feel numb. Squeak. The black rabbit cautiously dipped its paw into the ominous red liquid and tasted it. The black rabbit had to try everything Sejun ate to satisfy its curiosity. Squeak. After tasting the spicy soup, the black rabbit hurried to the pond and gulped down water as if its mouth was on fire. Thanks to the black rabbit, who gave up on the spicy piranha soup after trying the due to its spiciness, Sejun could enjoy the soup all by himself. Although the taste was lacking compared to the spicy soup he had eaten outside, the spicy taste after almost 200 days made Sejun eat the piranha soup clean. Slurp. Ha! It's so spicy. To soothe the spiciness, Sejun began making cherry tomato juice. Squish. Squish. As Sejun started to squeeze cherry tomato juice into an empty pot buzz, poisonous honeybees flew in and dropped honey into the pot. Sejun then completed the sweet cherry tomato juice and scooped it into a tumbler with a ladle to soothe the spiciness when Tower's administrator says they wants to drink cherry tomato juice as well. I knew you'd want some, so I made plenty. Give me a quest. A quest is generated. Quest. Serve cherry tomato juice to the Tower's administrator. Reward. Aileen's favor if refused. Disappointment here, take it. The cherry tomato juice inside the pot Sejun was holding disappeared, and the quest was completed. The Tower's administrator is pleased with the tasty and healthy cherry tomato juice. The Tower's administrator asks why you haven't given them the crayfish they had last time. We have to save that. Let's wait and eat it next week. The Tower's administrator says they can wait. Perhaps because there weren't many crayfish, after luring them a few times, the number of them gathering gradually decreased, and now only about 1-3 come even when lured with blood of their comrades. So, Sejun decided to eat the crayfish only once a week to conserve its population. While Sejun was talking to the Tower's administrator and drinking cherry tomato juice, the baby bear approached Sejun with a glass jar containing honey. Give me honey. Okay. Sejun opened the lid of the glass jar brought by the baby bear and poured 1 spoon of honey on the baby bear's front paw. The opening of the glass jar was much larger than the opening of the water bottle, so 1 spoon of honey in the glass jar was about 20 spoons from before. The baby bear hurriedly licked the honey flowing down its paw. The reason why the baby bear could eat so much honey was that the number of poisonous honeybees increased and the amount of honey harvested greatly increased. Now there are about 400 poisonous honeybees combining 2 hives. Now, the poisonous honeybees patrol up to about 100 away from the cave, and stimulated by the appearance of the second hive, the queen of the first hive also increased the number of eggs she laid. Thanks to this, about 15 baby poisonous honeybees are born from both hives every day, and the number of poisonous honeybees is growing faster. Meanwhile, the baby bear, who had licked all the honey, lay down next to Sejun and prepared to sleep. Sensing this, the black rabbit also came to Sejun's lap and fell asleep. There was never an empty spot on Sejun's lap. Feeling the warmth of the black rabbit and the baby bear, Sedge took a nap and went down to the cave in the afternoon to harvest cherry tomatoes. He harvested a lot because he also harvested the amount he couldn't harvest in the morning, but Sedge finished harvesting without difficulty. And then, he cut off 10 sprouts from the golden sweet potato planted in the ground. He planted them in the empty space left in between the green onions planted on the surface. Sedge planted a sprout of the golden sweet potato in the hole he made with his dagger. You have planted a sprout of the golden sweet potato. Due to the effect of seed sowing LV. 3. The chances of the golden sweet potato sprout taking root increases. Job experience increases very slightly. The proficiency of seed sowing LV. 3 increases very slightly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV. 1. The proficiency of seed sowing LV. 3 increases by an additional 5%. After planting all the sprouts of the golden sweet potatoes, Sedge looked at the green onions he had planted from harvested seeds. 2 weeks ago, it was as thin as a green onion, but it had already thickened to the size of 2 fingers. Can I harvest it now? Snip snip, Sedge cut the leaves of the green onion. However, a message indicating he had harvested did not appear. Is it because it's not fruit? Thunk. Sedge pulled out the entire green onion, just in case. You have harvested detoxifying green onion. Due to the effect of harvesting LV. 4. You have harvested a crop of 1 grade higher. Your job experience increases significantly. The proficiency of harvesting LV. 4 increases significantly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase LV. 1. The proficiency of harvesting LV. 4 increases by an additional 5%. You have gained 36 experience points. Huh? A crop of a higher grade? Sedge quickly checked the options of the green onion. Detoxifying green onion, a green onion grown inside the tower, providing ample nutrients and delicious in taste. When consumed, it detoxifies poisons of grade C+ or lower for 1 hour. For non-awakened people, it enhances the detoxifying function of the liver for 24 hours when consumed. Cultivator. Tower, Farmer Park, Sedge. Expiration date. 135 days. Grade C+. It didn't have the popular fat dissolving option outside the tower. Also, the grade, which was originally D+, had increased by 1 grade and became C+. Is it good? Well, it's fine as long as it's delicious. For Sedge, who had no chance of being poisoned, detoxifying green onion was just a delicious green onion. Leaving a few green onions for seeding, Sedge harvested about 200 green onions. Phoenix Guild's headquarters on the 1st floor of the tower. Recently, the number of times our guild members are going to the 38th floor of the tower has increased a lot. What happened all of a sudden? Leon, the guild leader of the Phoenix Guild, asked while looking at the tower entrance records. He had just returned from performing a quest on the 36th floor for 3 months. Recently, guild members are getting more into trading with a wandering merchant on the 38th floor, so naturally, their stay time in the tower is getting longer. The vice guild leader Catherine replied. A wandering merchant? Yes. Guild master, look at this. Isn't it cute? Catherine showed a photo she took with Theo. A cat? Yes. It's a wandering merchant named Theo. And he's selling these magical cherry tomatoes. Catherine showed Leon a grade D magical cherry tomato. 0.2 magic power? It won't be much help in battle. You don't know. Take this to your wife. She will treat you differently. Really? At Catherine's words, Leon was intrigued. Honestly, he was careful because he felt awkward going home after 3 months. All right. I'll give you 10 of these, which I got with difficulty. Thanks. More importantly, were there any results from the quest? I've barely collected 3 bottles of antidote now. Leon replied in a weak voice. The deadly tarantula, the boss of the 38th floor of the tower, had a pattern of emitting strong toxic gas as soon as the battle began. Thus, an antidote was needed to defeat the boss. But there was no place to obtain an antidote that could neutralize the potent poison of the deadly tarantula. While struggling with the 38th floor strategy, Leon coincidentally met an alchemist studying spider venom on the 36th floor of the tower. And he accepted a quest to bring 100 corpses of poison spiders that occasionally appear in a specific area of the 36th floor of the tower and receive 1 antidote. As a result of hunting poison spiders with the 1st and 2nd teams of the Phoenix Guild, he completed the quest 3 times in 3 months and obtained 3 bottles of antidote. 1 month to obtain 1 antidote. At least 20 people are needed to defeat the boss of the 38th floor of the tower, which meant it would take 17 more months to defeat the boss of the 38th floor. Phew, you should go home and rest first. Okay. Leon, who came home after 3 months, was able to receive his wife's warm welcome thanks to the magical cherry tomatoes that Catherine had prepared. Meow meow. He's coming. Attack when I give the signal. Yes. 3 silver wolves were ready to pounce, watching Theo humming a song coming from the merchant's passage connecting the 70th floor to the 60th floor. And then now, with a growl, 3 silver wolves ran out and surrounded Theo. Just then, Chief? Following behind Theo, the black minotaurs Wuchen, Sam and Wuchen, Sa came out of the merchant passage. Aha! Now it's my turn, Mao. Theo, laughing like a villain, looked at the silver wolves.